busy, very, very busy. Um, so how have you been?
I've been pretty good. I've been kind of keeping my eye on the news. Uh, we're kind of in some crazy times.
We
We're
are.
in our country and all around us, really. You could tell that the battle of good and evil is in full swing.
Oh,
That's for
oh,
sure.
oh yes, oh yes. It's hard to know who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. And I'll tell you, we all wanted a good president. Yes, we did. And I know I'm going to stick my nose right in it right now. And I voted for Trump. Of course, I voted for him each time, a total of 3 times now. And, of course, he's been doing the things that we want him to do, but he's been doing some things that have us all scratching our head and having us taking deep breaths, wondering what's going to happen next, because we all can see that international law is being broken. I mean, we can see things that are going on right here in our own backyard, the infighting. There's a lot of fights on every front. In fact, not only between religious groups in America, but also the politicians who back each of those groups. They're fighting amongst themselves too. And there's an IDF, APAC agent next to each one of our Congress people listening in, making sure that Israel is remembered at all times, making sure that we everything we do is going to be for Israel and everything. It's like America's not first anymore. It's not. I mean, I
Mm,
could see I could
mm-mm.
see a I could see a president who's trying to be transparent and do things, but the he's kind of scary in many
Well,
ways too.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
it
There's. Go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
Yeah, there's some things. I mean, I'm scratching my head about why are we going to be over Gaza? You know, I'm scratching my head because we've got a um, shutdown due to wanting illegal immigrants to have health care. Um, we've got people in our country that hate America and are spouting horrible things about a man that was assassinated for his freedom of speech.
Well, they
Um,
assassinate him for more than that. I mean, yes, it definitely is about freedom of speech. Absolutely.
and
Uh,
speaking out the truth.
yeah, yeah, and
You know, we
yeah,
got people being called nuts because they're speaking out the truth, and nobody wants to hear it.
yeah. Well, Candace is always she's used to it. She's always been called a nut, even by her own people. They call her a nut. They call her, a spaz. People are constantly like, flicking insults at her, but it bounces off, which is good. She's when you got truth, and truth doesn't need to be defended. People will know the difference. They can tell. Well, most people. I'm not saying that everybody can, because obviously we're in a situation where not everybody can. So, but those of us who are seeing it, we know who's talking truth and who's not. We know who's jive talking. And, I'll tell you, what foreign leader do you know will make, will actually say in so many occasions as possible, that they're not responsible for Charlie Kirk's death? What,
Yeah.
I mean, there have been lots of other instances where people died for Islam, died for this, but yet you didn't hear any of their leaders step up going, "Oh, we don't take any responsibility." No, they don't do that. Yet here's Bibi, as often as he can and everything, and he tries to rewrite what Charlie Kirk has said too. When I mean, we've heard Tucker Carlson, we've heard certain people talk about this who actually have spoken to Charlie Kirk, who know his words. We have video evidence of Charlie Kirk talking about what he's seen in Gaza. I
Hmm.
mean, he saw atrocities, he saw things that should not be, and he knows about things that should not be too, and things just
Hmm.
don't add up. I'm sorry.
Right.
When you keep looking back at October 7th, where were the people who were supposed to be guarding that entrance point?
Yeah.
Again,
Where were they?
and why do they lie about it? And why do they cover it up, sweep it up under the rug
Mm-hmm.
and everything, And I'm sorry, but if they're so afraid of Hamas, why is Gaza destroyed? Why aren't they going after those? They say they know where these spies are, but yet they're
Yeah.
bombing hospitals, churches.
Uh-huh.
The place is a complete mess. It's nothing
Oh
but
yeah,
rubble
it's
and
it's
ruin
just about
now.
rubble.
Yeah, it's
It
pretty much
is.
rubble.
And
Yeah.
we have capabilities of seeking out um these kind of things, rooting them out of the villages. And supposedly these Israeli forces trained with us, so they ought to have the secrets that we know how to root out these people and
Right.
without bombing entire villages.
And I would like to know, you know, why Israel thinks that they can get away with stopping a Felicia too, that's trying to bring aid and medicine and just see what's going on. If they're so up and forward with the truth and truth is on their side, wouldn't you welcome people to come in and see that truth too?
Absolutely, you would.
I mean, you
You'd
would
want the
want some
help
people on your
to
sides
take care
telling
of
you
the
the truth.
people.
Right. See,
Yeah,
the only people I hear defending Israel, I'm sorry, the only people I hear are people who are in bed with Israeli, administration, people who are getting something of something. I mean, I'm sorry, but we're looking at a compromised Congress too, where they're being
yes.
blackmailed. We know this. We all know
Oh
this.
yeah.
It's so, oh my God, it's so obvious. It's so in your
Yeah.
face. It's like a big, huge cheesecake that's got mold on it now.
Yeah, I know.
It's
It is.
smelly and you can smell it and it's right there in front of you and you want to get rid of it. But everybody's like barring the way and everything. Nobody's allowing the truth to really come because they know that
Well,
once
in
that,
that meeting the other day with BB, it was kind of a impromptu meeting. I mean, one of the things that was brought out is Steve Bannon brought it out was they usually bring the color guard out for that, when a dignitary's coming from another country. Well, they didn't do that for him this time. So that was a kind of a what's going on there. And then you could see the way Trump was looking over at him. He's not happy with him.
well, no,
You
we
could
can
see
see
it
the
all over
face.
his face.
We can see the face, but the words are saying something else. That the
Yeah,
words falling out of his mouth are compliance in compliance with whatever Israel wants.
yeah,
Israel wants complete and total surrender from these
yeah.
people, from
Well,
the from. And I'm sorry, but aren't there supposed to be concessions made? Israel's done bad things too. They've been doing bad
mhm,
things back and forth. Why can't? And again, too, there's another point that seems to be something that um, a lot of people are missing is the fact that we have several countries that have publicly announced that they recognize Palestine as a state.
mhm,
Yet America, Trump thinks he's just going to blow past uh, all that declaration and just go right on ahead and let Israel do what Israel wants and everything. Because basically, the words that came out of Trump's mouth was, well, if Hamas doesn't follow the rules of this peace treaty thing with it, we got the video footage. Don't worry, people. Even if I'm saying it wrong, we have coverage and everything, so we can show you and
mhm.
everything. The basic thing is that if Hamas does not follow the agreement that's laid out, then Israel will be allowed to take over not only Gaza, but go forward with the greater Israel plan, go forward with with the West Bank. And that's wrong. That is absolutely wrong. That is outright stealing. That is stealing. That is,
Mm.
breaking international law. That's especially after so many countries have declared that Palestine is a state, that they recognize it. Again, the UN is a big failure in all of this. The UN is a big nothing burger.
Well,
A
I think we should
giant
step back
nothing
just a little
burger.
bit about Hamas too. Um, I was doing some research on that, come to find out Hamas is a product of what Israel caused. They brought in
Well,
they organized that bunch of people to help them with, I can't remember, Iran or something. Um they brought them in for help,
right.
and they actually funded them. And then they turned
Yeah, we
around
talked
when
about
they
this. Yeah.
weren't doing what Israel wanted, then
This
they
goes way
turned on
back.
them.
10
Yeah.
years, 10 years before Netanyahu became prime minister, they were already having fights with Hamas. Hamas was all was all they were already fighting with Hamas. So at that time they were the PLO, the
Yes.
Palestinian Liberation
Organization.
Organization.
Uh-huh.
So they were there fighting the fight that's been being fought all along since Israel became a state.
Hmm.
They were basically inserted there by the British. The British brought them in, and
Ah, okay.
these people were just planted there. They were this was all arrangements that were done via the Rothschilds and everything. These people
Hmm.
knew exactly what they were going to do and how they were going to do it, and they weren't even really invited there. They were inserted there. They were just told, this is where you're going to be, this is where you can go. There's history on this. Everybody can just do your research. I don't mind providing a lot of it. I don't mind it. I do the best I can, and you can find a lot of that information on my website and on my blog. All you have to do is just search for it, just scroll. There's lots of news there for you to look at. A lot of things very important. And one of the most important things that you need to know is that Palestine was there before the state of Israel was there. Yes, indeed. In fact, Golda, you know, um,
My ear.
Meyer, sorry, thank you.
Hmm.
Every now and then I get that brain fart going on. I'm
I know how it is.
65 now. So, well, actually, I was getting brain farts before then, too, anyway. But anyway, so Golda Meir actually was a Palestinian citizen. She openly spoke about this in interviews that she had a Palestinian passport. So for these idiots to go around going, "Oh, there never was a Palestinian," well, tell me about the map that's in the Bible, the older
Hmm.
Bibles. What about that?
Hmm.
What was that? Just make believe land, like your make believe unicorns and your make believe Santa Claus. I guess Palestine is just a make believe thing too, when in
Right.
fact it is there and it has been
Hmm.
there and it's still struggling to be there and everything.
Hmm.
But here's the thing. This has been a fight that's been going on since they've been placed there by these fake indigenous people. They're not indigenous Jews. They're not even real. They're not the real deal. They're Khazarian Jews. Okay, so these
Hmm.
people, they've been given that spot by the British. The British helped them get installed and everything. They had problems right from the very beginning. They were pushing people out of their houses, just going in, taking over, get out, and everything. And in some cases, people were being like killed. This has been going on for a very long time. And in Israel, the state of Israel, that is not the people, I'm not saying the Jewish people, I'm saying the state of Israel, the administration therein, have
Hmm.
always used the excuse, oh, they just hate Jews, they don't like us, they want us to fail. They don't want to see us succeed. They don't want to sit up. What? That has nothing to do with bulldozing somebody's house,
Hmm.
taking over their home, taking over their farms, taking over their lands that they've had, in their family lines for hundreds of years. They think, oh, God said we could. No, the British said you could. And the
Hmm.
UN went along with it, and they saw troubles right from the beginning. There was troubles right from the
Yeah.
beginning, and they were told this is not going to be an easy thing for you. Just come in. They were given a certain amount of land, yes, and everything, right? But the way they went about getting these people off that land was horrendous. It was
Hmm.
horrible. And
Hmm.
then pushing out as they started inviting more and more people in, it became more of a problem and everything, because the
Mhm.
more they invited in, the more they had to push out of their homes and bulldoze away from their homes and to take over their land. And they would, I mean, I'm talking people getting, men, women, and children, if they did not move willingly, they'd be dragged out and even killed if
Mhm.
they tried to stop this. Also, some nice family could go back and reinvent their roots and everything and come be part of Israel because God said so. I don't think God said all that.
Yeah, and you know what? I
No.
had a discussion with some friends the other night that are very well versed in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about this whole thing about the chosen people and all that. And they clarified it with me. They said it's not the Jews, it's not the Israelis, it's the Israelites that are descendants of Jacob that are
Yes.
actually the descent that are actually God's chosen people.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
and they're
most of
really
the
not even
people
like,
that live in Israel are not the Israelites,
no,
descendants of Jacob.
right. They are descended of the chosen people, but they're not the chosen people per se anymore. We have a new covenant now. We have a new testament. We have Christ. So
Yes.
that's the thing, and nobody's going to go and practice. From they're not going to go from Christianity to Judaism. They're not going to do that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because not if they're a believer in Christ. No,
Right.
if you
And a
believe in
lot of them
Christ,
are starting to believe that Christ already has come. So they're starting to see this. I was
well,
just reading something about that and that came from I was reading about what the Bible says about AI the other day,
mhm,
and actually it came from the Israel site from Israel, and they were talking about Jesus Christ and how he's already came. So it's exciting to hear that that they some of them are going with the
yeah,
truth.
absolutely, and it's going to continue to go that way. We can't go backward. The right way is the way of Christianity. It is the only way. It is the only way.
Right,
So all other religions, no, they're just going to have to wake up and understand that that's not the way to go.
right,
So, and
absolutely.
hopefully they'll see that.
Yeah, it was it's I forget there was something else I was going to say about that too. Oh, I know. Another thing that was brought up is this is the time of the Gentiles. That's us.
Hmm.
Since the New Testament began, it's also the age of the church, which I'm not sure about that, but
Well,
I'd say
it
the
makes
church
sense
would
that
be
it would
people
be
that believe in God and believe in Jesus. That would
right.
be why they'd say the age of the church.
Well, the age of the church, that has there's going to be like a different feel for most people who don't understand the Bible. And I was talking about this with a friend of mine and everything. What's going to end up happening here in America, we're going to end up having what's called the American religion or the American, it could even be the American church. This is going to be a combination of both nationalism and spiritualism together. And we've already seen the groundwork being done. Unfortunately, they use Charlie Kirk's murder. They use him as a martyr, and they rewrote pretty much his plane of existence to include him in a pro-Israel, but it's not working. Okay, so somehow
Mhm.
something's going to break in within that. I don't know if it's still being molded, if something isn't being more molded. It's hard to know. Sometimes where it's going until you see where the pieces are falling again. Because the
Mhm.
minute you think that you see it, what's going on, the board gets like busted up again, the pieces get rearranged and
Mhm.
everything. So, we're looking at right here in America, and we do have a short clip on that too.
Yeah,
What
I
had
mean, they're
Trump
talking
had
about
said.
this kid could be a patsy. Um,
No, you're talking about
I
the,
mean, there's some
yeah.
stuff being said right now.
Yeah,
Cash
well, if we're
Patel
going,
come out with
right,
some stuff.
it
It
seems like
sounds to
it
me
seems
like
like the
they're not
FBI,
all straight with this.
right, right. It seems like the FBI does not have a clear picture themselves. I mean,
Mm-mm.
they want to run with the engravings on the bullets thing, and they want to run with this kid being the killer, but nothing is adding up right. There are just too many things that are just not adding up.
Well, and
It's like
that guy behind him, they've tried to pass that off as well. He was just pushing his sleeve up, and the other one, well, he was just checking his watch or what. No, it looked to me like he was doing hand signals to somebody.
they were doing hand signals. I mean, for them to say it was something else, they just think we're all stupid.
Yeah.
They really think we're all stupid. Plus, there are some things in the videos that need to be questioned and need to be investigated. There
Hmm.
was also that video that was taken down. There was a video camera right behind Charlie
Yes.
that was taken down
Yes.
by an employee of
Yeah, Charlie's, wasn't it?
Charlie's
Hmm.
organization there.
Yeah, and that was brought up with somebody that I was talking to the other day goes, well, why wouldn't they just take the whole camera and turn it in? No, they took out the memory. And I said, well, you know what? You have to think about this. Is that camera remote accessed?
Hmm.
Because if it is, that tape could have already been wiped out before
Yeah,
anybody touched it.
the
You
guy
know?
that the guy that took the camera was an employee of Turning Point, the very
Hmm.
organization. And Candace actually was part of Turning Point too. And there was some talk
Yes.
about them. Charlie was going to be bringing her back, and that was based on information that they were all collaborating on, that they knew about Bibi Netanyahu and everything, knowing the real truth about Gaza, the truth about Israel, and the history behind Israel. Everybody needs to look again at the history of how Israel began and what's been going on all these years since that history. Noting too that history will teach you something if you only open up your eyes and you dare to look. We need to look at some of that footage in Congress of Bibi coming out saying we need help with this one, we need help with that one, we have to fight this, and we have to, when every fight that has occurred was actually something that Israel started, the state of Israel. Now I have to keep saying that too. I don't want anybody out there confusing what I'm saying was saying that the Jews did it. It's not about the Jews, it's about the state of Israel. Okay, those
Yes.
powers that be who are making decisions, who are causing harm to their own people. More than 80% of those who live in the state of Israel want Netanyahu to step down from his seat of power. They don't believe he belongs there anymore, that he's gone too far, that he's been doing things now against their will. They don't want this and everything. But Bibi's fine and dandy with it. He says it with a smile that they're going to win this war, that they're going to go in, they're going to finish the job. Basically, that's what
Hmm.
he said. We're going to finish the job. He sounds like an old mafia guy from New York City. We're going to finish the job. We're going to go in there. We're going to go in all the way. We're going to
Yeah.
get it done. And of course, we got another mob boss, Donald Trump, pretty
Yeah.
much go, yep, yep, I'm the Don. I know what's going on. I'm the Don. We're going to get in there. And if they don't do what Israel says, we're just going to let them do what they want. We're going to let them go full blown retard. And that's pretty much what they're saying. To hell with international law. To hell with the fact that several countries have already said that they recognize Palestine as a separate state.
Hmm.
And forget about that. That don't matter either. And forget about the UN actually recognizing these other countries saying something, standing up for Palestine, standing up for them, and no longer putting up with the crap that Israel doles out all the time. So you got to kind of People, you need to open up your eyes out there. You need to see what's really going on. Yes, we voted for this president. Yes, he gave us a lot of great things. And yes, I voted for him too, but he's
Mhm.
only a man.
That's
He's
right. He's
only a
only a man.
man.
He's not our savior,
That's right.
like
He's
some
not
people think.
Christ. That's right. He's not Christ. He may think that he can, garner a peace treaty and everything, to stop the fighting in the Middle East. But you know what? That's if this is the way he's going to go, there's just going to be more bloodshed. And you better believe that our men and women here in America who are of army age are just about. That's why they want the minds of the young right
Yeah.
now. This is why is politics are very like high key right now, and they're blending it in with spirituality. That's why they have Turning Point too. It's almost like they joined arms with Turning Point now. I guess the lady that they had before that was in there, this Episcopal, some lady, she spoke tongues and she was, trying to prophesize, but she wasn't very good at it.
Mm.
I guess now they're going to hook up with Turning Point, and they're going to go with this clean, young American, young believer in Christ and God, and yes, we must help Israel kind of outlook and everything. And if one thing I know about the Charlie Kirk followers is that they want and they believe in the truth. I don't.
Absolutely.
I think this is going to blow up in their face in a way that's not going to be too pretty.
Well,
This is
that's,
going to.
and that's too bad because I know Charlie did it for a very good reason. He wanted to bring people to God. He wanted to bring people to have
Mm-hmm.
families again, have children, uh,
Yep.
get out and fight for what you believe in and stand up for what you think. And, for someone to turn that around, and it's where that's called Turning Point.
Right.
But for someone to turn that around and make it something that is not, and then misquoting his words and trying to say he said something that he didn't, because I know what he was doing. He was talking about, he was starting to see the light. He really
Yeah.
was. He was mentioning it. He brought up Mossad. He brought up BB. He was, there was some things that were starting to come together. And I'm not sure that he had it all in a package yet, but he was
He
getting real
pretty much
close.
he was pretty much talking about it prior weeks prior to his
Mhm.
assassination. He was already talking about it. He was collaborating with others that were, absolutely seeing what was going
Right,
on
like
too.
Tucker and
Tucker Carlson,
Candace.
Candace, and there were others too. There were other people too. I believe Glenn Beck is
Well,
another one that was seeing things
Hard
too.
Country. There's a guy that's called oh, I can't think of his complete name now, but it's Hard Country, and he started talking about this. And then when I heard him talking about it, it's like, oh, he's somebody I wouldn't have expected to talk about it.
Hmm.
And then it's made me start really paying attention because
Right.
yeah, he just laid it out. This is a bunch of crap, everyone. They're deceiving us. There's
They
something
are
going on
deceiving
here.
us. And this is the scary part. Charlie Kirk had a young audience from 14, the age of 14 up. So these are all of your future warriors too. These are all like your future minds that are going to want to know which way should I go. I believed what Charlie was saying. Charlie pointed the way and everything. Now they're trying to rewrite the things that Charlie said. They're actually trying to paint him out that he was pro-Israel. And they're trying to
Mhm.
make people like Candace and Tucker, Glenn Beck, and other people look like liars,
Right.
like that,
Well, I think
like they're loons or something, like they're crazy and they're
right.
not seeing things right. So,
I think that Charlie Kirk was pro-Israel, but then he started seeing things. He
he
started
was,
realizing that there's
he
something
was.
not right here.
That's exactly right. You're
And he
exactly
was
spot
willing to
on.
look at it. He was actually willing to open up
Once
his mind and look
th-
at it.
that's right. Once you start going out on tour and you're debating and you're bringing people up to talk to you and you're doing public speaks like that, and they start bringing up truthful things and the audience knows that they're bringing up truthful things, but there you are, Charlie Kirk, warrior of God, speaker of truth, you're going to deny the atrocities that are going on in Gaza. You're going to deny that there's actual history that's being ignored. He
Mm-hmm.
could no longer do that. He could, because
No, and that's
literally,
what made him look at it, I believe, was the
right,
October 7th. He started relooking at that.
he started looking at. So I think his friendship with Candace and other people that could see the reality of what was going on. I think once he started talking to people and collaborating information and looking at it himself, he started realizing that he was wrong about Israel, that he could not consciously uh, make a stand with Israel like that. And then, of course, when uh, the people, I don't know exactly who, but they had people even around Turning Point. They had Jewish interest that were there too, even with Turning Point and everything. These people are everywhere. They literally are everywhere in our government,
Hmm.
watching, making sure you're doing things that are for Israel, making sure that Israel like is protected, making sure that Israel's concerns and interests are met. And this is bull crap. This is real bull crap. The
Hmm.
bottom line is that somehow it got wind to Bibi Netanyahu that Charlie was no longer pro-Israel.
Hmm.
So there was somebody sent to go talk to Charlie. There's lots of video evidence out there. You can also backtrack on Candace Owens shows. These things are
Yes.
for real. This is for real. Somebody
Hmm.
approached him and said, there was actually not even just him. There was like they were approaching the company itself, the organization, offering like financing and funding and everything from Israel to help further them along on their cause and everything. But anything that Israel gives you, there's a price. There is a price that you pay. You're not
Hmm.
just getting money for your they're paying for their cause too. They want you to speak favorably at all times about them. And if
Hmm.
anybody says anything bad, you need to correct that. You have to
Hmm.
correct them. So if somebody's saying the truth, which is one of our freedoms here in America, the right to free speech, Israel is trying to compromise that
Hmm.
by influencing our young folks, our young minds, our 14-year-olds and up, influencing them into believing that Israel are the good guys and all the towel heads and everybody else and hanging around, those are the bad ones.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how he's putting it in that
And
way.
not all of them are,
No.
there's groups of people over there that are not very nice. They are
Yeah.
and are probably controlling a little bit. Well, like some of the terrorist groups over in the Middle East, they do control some of the people over there, and they don't treat them very well. Those aren't the people we're talking about. We're talking
Right.
about the people that are good, the actual Palestinian people, the ones that have been there in the land, that love that country, that want that country to be what they, be family oriented in the way that they are. We don't have a
Right.
right to push our beliefs and our things off on people all over the
So
world.
ordinary person Liberty, that's actually in the chats right now in the live chat, has said, and she's talking, I believe, about the church, the age of the church now. She's saying that we are in the age of the church now, from the crucifixion to when Christ came back, or as some say, the rapture. The New Testament does not contain a verse saying, do not go against Israel, but rather instructs followers to go to Israel and the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and Matthew 10:5, 6, where again it kind of breaks off there from what she was talking about. But yeah, nowhere in the Bible does it say um, uh, that if you go against Israel, that you would be cursed. You can say things and you don't have to go along with wrongdoing.
No, I
That
wouldn't
that
think that he
that's
would have a commandment that said thou
right.
shalt not kill, and then
Well, or
be
at
okay
least have
with
a well, he would
backing
have a
people that do.
yeah, he would have a commandment that says, all of you out there, thou shalt not kill, except for Israel. They can kill
Right,
all they want.
right. They're my people, so they can
Right.
violate all the commandments. I don't care.
Right. You all can kill each other. Go ahead and kill each other if you do not kill an Israelite. Do not kill
Right,
Israel. Well, not Israelite, but do not kill Israel. Do not kill anybody from the state of Israel. Otherwise, God will curse you. They're taking
right,
that out of context.
right.
Okay, because right now, if they're so blessed, why are there so many enemies around them?
True.
Okay, they're saying, "Oh, we got blessings." The
Well,
only
and they
blessing
blame
they
that
have,
on, well, because we're,
well,
you
the
know,
only
because we're the
blessing I can
people of the
see,
Bible,
well,
and that's why we're so persecuted,
the only
you know.
blessing I can see that Israel has is having the United States in their back pocket. I guess they really went all out to get as many people blackmailed as humanly possible.
Well, and they're saying that Epstein and Diddy could have some ties to this.
Yeah,
That could be possibly, I mean, especially with Epstein, that could have been a good way for Israel, for Bibi and his people to blackmail our Congress
I
people.
don't know about Diddy. Diddy's nobody important, really. Diddy was just stealing minds and hearts through his rap music, with and his corrupted Diddy parties and everything.
Hmm.
He was just corrupting people. I don't see him as connected really with BB in that regard too much. And I think he did wrong things, I believe, and he could very well have been part of a greater picture of trafficking and things like that too. He could very well be. I don't know, but Epstein is a whole different kind of guy.
Yes.
Okay,
And I
Epstein.
do think that there's some
Yeah.
ties there.
Oh
I
yes,
do.
there absolutely is.
And
It,
I think that was the way to blackmail our Congress people,
yes.
our people in high powered places here, CEOs. And they're if they let that out, oh man,
And
that's not going to be good.
it's not just about having relationships with minors. We're talking about all these parties that they've had, BB and his government. Then they would
Mhm.
invite other people from other countries and people from our country, Congress people, and rich people, executive people over there and everything. And exchanging gifts can behold you
Oh yeah.
and everything
I
through
did this for
promises and things like
you,
that.
so
Yeah,
you have to do this for me.
that's right.
Hmm.
Exactly. So,
Yeah, pat you on the back, I'll pat you on the back.
yeah,
That's the
you
way
scratch
these
my
kind of
back, I
people
scratch
work.
yours. Yeah, they are exactly like
Mm.
that. So,
Oh yeah. They rub shoulders and yeah, they got things going on. It's just the way it's been for a very,
right.
very long time. Yeah, I agree. And so then there's also this I saw your article and I could pull it up about
Yeah.
Blair. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
heck, we thought Blair was gone.
Oh, right. I bet he looks like this long-haired, gray hippie guy. He looks kind of,
Yeah, he kind of does look like a hippie right now. He does. Let me see if I could find that here. Which tab I've got it on. I think it's a different one. Oh, I know where it is. It's in the email.
well, I can tell you that I can give you the link right now for that. The Board of Peace. Is that the one you wanted?
Oh, let's see. Let me pull this up and I'll share the screen. Yeah, I've got it right here. I just have to pull it up. Yeah, I thought,
Yeah, I just sent you.
oh, is this it right here? No, I got the wrong one.
Got it?
Um,
I sent it to you in your Facebook
oh, I
Messenger.
got it right here.
Yep.
I got it.
Okay.
Okay, let me pull it up here. Yeah, that picture of him is like, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. Okay. Board of Peace. Donald Trump's Board of Peace. You want me to go ahead and play that video?
Yeah, go right on ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Let everybody
Oh,
see
wait
it.
a minute. Let me share my screen. I pulled it
That
up.
would
I
help.
forgot to share
Yep.
it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I thought, what in the heck is he getting himself into again? He's got, I mean, for Pete's sakes, how much more is Donald Trump going to do? You know,
As much as
he's
Donald Trump can do.
The smokescreen of a peace deal, and behind it is an offer that the authorities in Gaza are not allowed to refuse, and it will provide cover for Israel to continue ethnic cleansing behind the guise of a Trump fronted peace authority, which is really just a new neo-colonial authority in disguise with lots of profits for those involved, none of whom, by the way, currently are Palestinian.
Hey, we have a special guest with us, Max Blumenthal. Everybody knows him and loves him, award-winning journalist, as well as the editor-in-chief and founder of The Gray Zone. He's also the best-selling author of Goliath, The 51-Day War, and The Management of Savagery. Welcome back to the show, Max Blumenthal. Hi, Max.
Hey, Jimmy, good to be back.
So there's some breaking news today. Trump did a press conference with Netanyahu, and Michael Tracy tweeted out a clip of it. Let's listen to it.
To ensure the success of this effort, my plan calls for the creation of a new international oversight body, the Board of Peace, we call it, the Board of Peace, sort of a beautiful name, the Board of Peace, which will be headed, not at my request, believe me, I'm very busy, but we have to make sure this works. The leaders of the Arab world and Israel and everybody involved asked me to do this, so it would be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump of the United States. That's what I want, is some extra work to do, but it's so important that I'm willing to do it, and we'll do it right, and we're going to put leaders from other countries on, and leaders that are very distinguished leaders, and we'll have a board, and one of the people that wants to be on the board is the UK former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, good man, very good man, and some others.
Did you
And
see
they'll
the
be
look
named
on
over the
Dora's
next few
face?
days. And it'll be quite the board. Working, everybody wants to be on it now. I don't know if that had anything to do. They named me and everybody else wanted to be on it. I guess they figure, well, he's a soft touch. He'll be easy to deal with.
So Trump says, so according to Michael Tracy, the way he describes it is Trump is going to install himself as the new ruler of Gaza, which is what he's doing. And among his deputies will be Tony Blair. Simply incredible. And Dr. Shola says Tony Blair and Trump belong in The Hague, not Gaza. This is genocide repackaged as colonialism, just like slavery was repackaged as colonialism. Only Palestine should decide who runs Gaza. This isn't a board of peace, but a board of colonial masters. So let me bring in Max. Max, that's exactly what it sounds like. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, what they've been doing for the past 2 or 3 weeks is torturing the population in the largest city in Gaza, Gaza City. Today, they blew up the largest residential tower there, and they're blowing up every inhabitable large building to force them south, but also to torture the population into demanding that Hamas accept a plan of total surrender, in which basically Donald Trump will come in as the front man with Tony Blair, one of the key architects of the destruction of Iraq, should be in a small box somewhere, and that the population will just demand it in order to end the destruction of their lives. And they're putting it forward as a peace proposal. And if Hamas rejects it, then Trump has said that Israel has the right to destroy pretty much everything in the Gaza Strip. It is a colonial or neo-colonial peace plan. It would put a British prime minister in charge of a place that Britain used to control under a colonial mandate. Colonial Palestine was controlled by the British. Actually, they were forced out thanks to Zionist terror as well as an Arab revolt. And Tony Blair will retrench control, but not on behalf of his country. He's not representing any country. He's representing a conglomerate of sleazebag one percenters and tech warlords, as well as a consortium of Gulf billionaires from the United Arab Emirates, who he has traditionally represented. JP Morgan, he's lobbied for them. Larry Ellison, I mentioned the tech warlords, has contributed something like $300 million to Tony Blair Institute. And Larry Ellison is currently involved in taking over Paramount Pictures and TikTok on behalf of Israel. Larry Ellison is a close friend of Netanyahu's. Netanyahu's been on his private island in Hawaii, and Ellison has donated to Friends of the IDF. So you could imagine that after ethnic cleansing takes place, Tony Blair will just bring in tech companies, including companies that will do help erect biometric concentration camps in Gaza to handle the final solution. And this has already been spelled out in various Gaza Riviera plans. It sounds like an especially dystopian version of the worst horrors that we could have conjured actually during the COVID era, where people in Gaza, in exchange for their homes, which they will be forced to leave, will be given a digital token that will supposedly be worth the value of their home that they can redeem for housing somewhere else that will be smart housing. In other words, heavily surveilled housing built by, I don't know, Palantir and Amazon and anyone else who wants to get involved with a kickback to Tony Blair. And they will be forced to migrate in order for Israel to take over large parts of Gaza with an ethnically exclusive Jewish population. That's the plan that Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister under Netanyahu, has articulated when he said the final stage of Gaza will be a real estate deal, but first we have to carry out the demolition. They are not allowed to refuse, and it will provide cover for Israel to continue ethnic cleansing behind the guise of a Trump-fronted peace authority, which is really just a new neo-colonial authority in disguise with lots of profits for those involved, none of whom, by the way, currently are Palestinian.
That's kind of ironic. There won't be one Palestinian person, I guess, on that board overseeing Gaza now, but it will be somebody who's a war criminal, which is Tony Blair. He should be taken to The Hague on war crime charges because of what he did in Iraq. But that's so. The irony here is that Keir Starmer, the current Prime Minister of the UK, just recognized Palestine as its own state. And so now so you would think Tony Blair would go, oh, well, they should be a sovereign body being recognized. And but no, he's not going to let them self-govern. He's going to come in and do more colonialism. And that's, again, seems, by the way, and so as soon as Keir Starmer acknowledged that Palestine was a state, Palestine is going to sue the UK now for billions of dollars because they occupied Palestine from, I think, 1913 to 1948. And so immediately because they're under the UN Charter, you can't do what they did. So it's like a double whammy, the UK. I immediately think of when I was at the Rescue the Republic rally, and I was doing a pro-Palestinian speech, and there was lots of MAGA in the crowd, obviously, and they were cheering me. And I saw signs, people holding up signs, free Palestine. lots of MAGA people. So this has split the MAGA, at least split. I don't know how big the split is. I don't know if it's 60-40, 50-50, 80-20. I don't know, but I know that all the MAGA people who come to my shows are not on board with Israel's Zionism. They're not on board with Zionism. They're not on board with Benjamin Netanyahu. They're not on board with what Trump is being subservient to Israel. So I think the only thing that could change this is if MAGA, well, so now we have Marjorie Taylor Greene she's the biggest anti-Israel voice right now in Congress, not AOC, not Bernie Sanders, but it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. And that, which is kind of, so do you think, Max, that MAGA will rise up against this, or do you think they'll just kind of look the other way and get excited about other things?
Well, the MAGA base that's young would define itself as America first. And it's over. They're never going to be pro-Israel at this point because of the malign influence of Israel on the U.S. and their ability to actually discern through social media and alternative media that this isn't a good relationship for the United States. It doesn't benefit them. It's taking money from the U.S. taxpayer, from our tax base, and just basically giving it to this foreign apartheid colony. And they're offended by having all these influencers be purchased to cater to their supposedly anti-woke sensibility. It's like the Simpsons meme where Mr. Burns is dressed up as a skater and trying to be cool and like trying to rock the vote. They can't stand it. So the more Netanyahu does to insidiously advance PR in the US to this crowd, the more there's going to be a backlash. However, on Capitol Hill, Marjorie Taylor Greene is practically alone, along with Thomas Massie there. Netanyahu's minions, his cutouts like Paul Singer and Miriam Adelson are funding a candidate to take Thomas Massie out. There are definitely plans to try to take MTG out as well. I don't think they'll succeed, but the point is that other Republicans are afraid to join them. They consider them pariahs. Netanyahu just hosted a whole group of state lawmakers, many Republicans in Israel, and the graphic behind him was 50 states, one Israel, sort of flaunting Israeli control over even state lawmakers. The House GOP is completely controlled by Israel, but you have these figures who understand the conservative grassroots is moving away, especially those under 35. So it's going to be there. You're going to see a scenario in the GOP that's similar to what we see in the Democratic Party, where we witnessed in the Biden-Harris campaign how undemocratic the Democratic Party was. The whole party grassroots had turned against Netanyahu and Israel and the genocide, completely turned against it, and they wouldn't even allow one Palestinian speaker at the DNC. We're going to see a similar dynamic in the GOP, and then we'll have this kind of bipartisan coalition that will expose how undemocratic our entire political duopoly is. That's coming not in a generation, but I would say in the next presidential election. And if Gaza is under the control of Trump and Tony Blair, I mean, the disaster will be owned by the transatlantic empire on behalf of Israel, and the whole mask will be lifted on the real power dynamics that are animating our foreign policy, which have gotten so many Americans killed in wars that were basically being fought for resources in Israel, but especially Israel. I mean, consider the scene that we just saw in New York City, Jimmy, where the former head of Al-Qaeda in Syria, deputy head of ISIS, this wasn't in New York, this was in DC.
Yes.
He was on stage with David Petraeus, who was the head of the
CIA
CENTCOM,
and CENTCOM,
who helped oversee the surge in Iraq. Imagine if you're like the family member of a veteran who was wounded in that failed surge or killed, and you see the general, the commanding general, on stage basically hyping up the Al-Qaeda figure who helped kill them, who fought them, who went to Camp Bucca as part of Al-Qaeda in Mesopotamia. That shows what the real agenda is. The reason Petraeus was there with him is because Ahmed al-Shara, formerly Mohammed Jolani, is handing over a large part of Syria to Israel.
And again, another contradiction here is as General Petraeus and Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, welcomed the former head of Al Qaeda in Syria in the United States. He's wearing a suit. At that same time, there's veterans buried all over America that are dead from Al Qaeda from fighting, and also wounded. But there's also Guantanamo Bay is still open, and there's people in Guantanamo Bay. So if the head of Al Qaeda is now welcomed with open arms in the United States by the Secretary of State and General Petraeus, why do they still have Guantanamo Bay open? And no one even brings that up.
Yeah, because they can't send them. They would have sent them to Syria to take it over on behalf of NATO and Israel if they could have, but
what a big mess!
Basically, have nowhere to be deposited and are therefore not useful to the CIA. That's the only reason they're there.
What are we doing inviting a terrorist leader into our country?
All across Syria, slaughtered minorities, and he's doing it today.
They're slaughtering
seated in Damascus.
They're slaughtering Christians all over Syria, right?
Well, the Christians are next on the chopping block, but for now they're slaughtering Alawites, who represent, the sect of Bashar al-Assad, and they had a horrific onslaught of jihadist foreign fighters attacking the Druze in the south, which Israel exploited. Yeah. And the Christians are very afraid right now, and many of them are leaving. So this is being rewarded simply because of the utility of the former Al-Qaeda leader to especially Israel, which is just, they've not fired a single shot, and Israel occupies the entire Golan and Mount Hermon, which is the highest point in Syria. They've always wanted that. And now the United States is going to take control of the Gaza genocide. They're going to implement this Gaza Riviera plan, and it's going to be an absolute disaster. But the battle isn't over for Gaza. The resistance is still fighting on the ground. And there is also a looming next round of conflict with Iran, which Israel intends to instigate with the understanding that the U.S. will come in once again and rescue it. The U.S. just transferred something like 7 or 8 more THAAD air defense batteries to Israel after expending 1/3 of all our THAAD air defense interceptor stocks in 12 days to defend Israel, which means, if you're an imperialist, you want to give that to Taiwan. You want to give that to South Korea because you really want a conflict with China. And they can't have that now because you're defending this tiny little apartheid colony that keeps starting wars with a near peer power and can't get out of them. And Donald Trump, what's he going to do next? Another Top Gun raid to end the war? No, it's not going to work like that this time. It will be a much more bloody, violent conflict, and U.S. troops will get more intimately involved until there's boots on the ground, which is what Netanyahu got in Iraq. Remember when he went to the Senate and lobbied the Senate to initiate war on Iraq on the grounds that Saddam and Al-Qaeda were working together and that Saddam had WMD?
That's where the lie came from.
The American Senate,
weapons of mass
they trusted
destruction.
him. And
that's where the lies came in.
Thousands of Americans lost their limbs and their lives because of that.
So I think this will, I don't know, maybe I'm hoping. I don't know, but I think this is not going to be.
Can we end that right there? Can we end that, please?
Yes.
This will be bad for J.D. Vance getting elected.
It's good that they went back that far. They went back to Iraq. Remember, everybody, when Bibi Netanyahu and company would come over here and lobby America to get involved and everything. Iraq were the bad guys at that time. Oh my God, they're doing bad things to us. They hate Jews. They're gonna hurt us. They're gonna kill us, and they accused them of having weapons of mass destruction. And there were no weapons ever found.
Right.
We did find some other atrocities. We found a lot of really bad things, like all of our weapons that we had been selling them in the 40s and the 50s. They had lots of weapons from America to do the bad things that they'd been doing. including hurting and killing their own people. They had a mass grave of people that were all piled together in one spot, those who were stood against Saddam Hussein. We saw things like that, definitely. But keep in mind that Ronald Rumsfeld and company, back in the 40s, 50s, and that time era, they were in bed with Iraq. They were supplying them with weapons. They were doing things, making deals, backdoor deals, and things like that. And then all of a sudden, when Saddam Hussein wasn't in the limelight anymore and he was no longer a useful idiot, pretty much, that's when they turned against him. That's when they decide, okay, there's weapons of mass destruction there. We're going to believe you. And we're going to go in there. And in the words of George Bush, we're going to go in there. We're going to go in all the way. All the way. And everything.
Yeah.
And they found no weapons of mass destruction.
That's right.
All these wars,
right.
all these wars that have been going on in the Middle East were basically wars that, I'm sorry, this is the truth. Look it up, people. Look it up. Israel starts wars they cannot finish without us, without the United States of America. So I just sent you a link to I sent you another link in your Facebook Messenger, Mary. And
Okay.
this is something that people need to listen to right from the words of Charlie Kirk himself, right from his own mouth.
Okay, here's Charlie Kirk's talking points. Is that the one?
Yep, that's the one.
Okay, let me get this on a share.
And for those of you watching on Rumble, I'm sending that link right in the chat right there for you. Those of who are watching, you can go right to the Brutal Truth blog spot right there. You can, you can save that link there to watch and share with other people. And also the transcript is right there too.
Okay, I'm going to play this video.
Okay.
And the Israeli hard right government has a mandate. I gotta be careful the way I say this. They're gonna try to ethnically cleanse Gaza. I mean that's and I don't use that term lightly. Okay, they're talking about basically removing 2.5 million people from there. Okay, and honestly, they have a mandate to go seek justice and revenge. They do. This idea that they need to have a truce or a peace treaty, that's morally crap. After you see women and children be burned alive and dragged to the streets. But there are some serious questions here, Patrick. And let me tell you, my pattern recognition over the last 5 years has become pretty sharp. COVID, Maui fires, Epstein. When I see a story and it doesn't click, our guts are usually right. So I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that's an IDF soldier. Right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order?
Thank you, Charlie. And Charlie, I think, died because he knew about October 7th. He knew what Gaza looks like now. He knew the history behind it. He was being educated by those in the know. He literally started off with the debates with young people and older people too, and he just didn't have any answers, so he had to go back to square one. And I think that's where his relationship rekindled with Candace Owens and everything.
Mhm.
She used to work for Turning Point. She also worked alongside of Ben Shapiro, until
Uh-huh.
she started becoming verbally like, she was being very verbal about Israel. She was pointing out things that the Jewish, people what was it, the Daily Wire? Is it that's the name of Ben Shapiro's network? The
I
Daily, is
think
that the Daily
so.
Wire? Yeah,
I
so there
think
were,
so.
there were Jewish interest in that company, and they didn't like that, and they pretty much told her you can't talk about that. So she did get fired. She left on her own, and
Hmm.
I think at that time she probably went to either before or after them, but she's been on her own since, and probably better off. That way, nobody, there's nobody above her except for getting calls. She literally got a call from a few big wigs. She got calls from, of course, uh, Macron and his man wife, Brigitte.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
And
they were giving her trouble.
they were giving her a hard time because she was telling the truth. She was
Uh-huh.
telling the truth about them and everything, and they don't like that stuff and everything.
Oh no.
I thought was very
No.
funny. I thought was very funny. I think the last show I saw with Candace, in that regard too, where they showed clips of Brigitte trying to shake hands with some other dignitaries, and they just wouldn't like touch her. And I'm like, yes, yes, that's right. Treat her like she's got the plague, because people like that, unfortunately, they kind of are the plague in another way. So, but the thing is, right? She also got a call from somebody. I think she actually got a call from the president's office too, asking her to tone it down
Oh yeah, yeah.
about
She
Israel
mentioned that.
too, and everything. So
She
it's like,
mentioned it.
when they tell you to do stuff like that, that's when you got to crank it up. You got to crank it up because you're on the right path right then and there, and
Right.
may be on a dangerous path and everything. You may, I feel we should worry, for Candace and for Tucker and for people that talk about the truth. We should worry about them because these are
I
these
agree.
are these are part of your witnesses. These are people that are telling you. And when you get that, I'm sorry, you know what? You can always tell who's in charge of your country when you're not allowed to criticize them. You can call
Right.
you can call Trump a big fat pig, Mr. Orange Man. You can call him anything you want. Don't say anything about Bibi Netanyahu or the state of Israel,
Right.
because you'll be up in charges for hate speech. You can't ever print anything or show anything like, on you can't, anything that you present, anything that I present, I have to back it up with real information, links and everything like that, my
Oh
resources.
yeah.
They'll
Yeah,
yank that
because
right
otherwise they
off.
think they want to call
Yeah,
you crazy,
they
that
tried to
you don't know
yank
what
off
you're
my
talking about.
yeah, they tried to yank my information off of Instagram, and I asked for a review. I even provided links and everything. They had to put it back up. They had to put my stuff
Right.
back up because and I'm telling the truth, and it may be uncomfortable,
Right.
but we all need to listen. We all need to listen to that truth, because if you don't listen to it now, it's going to shock you and it's going to bite you in the ass in the end when
Right.
you don't know what's going on. You don't know how to deal with it.
That's right.
So,
Absolutely. And yeah, our government should never be held over a barrel by anybody.
no,
And that's exactly what's being done
yeah, we can already see
with
it being
Israel.
played out. Yeah, we can already see it being played out too, because there are a lot of people that are being very verbal about how they see what's going on. And we can see in the news too that, Netanyahu is straining from all this. He's basically going around telling everybody, that he foresees them taking over the West Bank and everything, that this is going to go, we're going to just do because we're allowing it. The
Hmm.
United States is helping, and we shouldn't be helping them. We should not be doing this. And no, it
No,
doesn't
I
go
think
against
we're on
them.
the wrong side of it. I
We
do.
are. Yep,
And I
we
think
are.
I don't know how we're going to get out of it now, now that he's sunk himself even deeper,
The
with the
only way
Gaza thing.
the only way I could see them getting out of it now, this is very radical. And you better all hang on to your bippies and everything with this because I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But sometimes things happen, and you'll be wondering later on, well, how did she know? What did she know that I didn't know? I watch the news every day. Well, I not only watch things, I read things, and I'm willing to even go fringe and listen to some other things because there are a lot of people that hold ideas. And I've been talking about this for some time, and we're watching these things actually unfold right before our very eyes. This new American religion. Okay, it's this is going to be the sad part of it all. There are going to be a lot of people that truly believe in Christ and will do anything to serve Christ and to serve God, but they will be serving it under the wrong banner.
I'm going to say, you got to watch. It may not be
Yes,
what you think it is.
yes. And they'll be
And
serving
we
it
have
under
to
the wrong
remember,
banner.
that isn't it the Golan Heights where the temple needs to be built?
It's right across from the Mount of Olives that they need to be. I believe that's
And
where they need to be.
Israel's bound and determined they want that, right?
Yeah, that's where their religion demands that the third temple be built at the spot of the original third temple of second
Hmm.
temple. The first temple. The first temple was built, and then of course it was rebuilt again, the second temple. And I think we know what happened with that too. I believe it was right after Christ was crucified, that temple was destroyed and
Hmm.
everything. And there's also the prophecy of Christ too that says, what's going to happen if they try to rebuild a third temple
Right. So,
and everything.
so
So
they're trying to get this area so that they can do what rebuild this temple, which all it's going to do is usher in the Antichrist to our
yeah,
earth. And we
that's
this I mean,
yeah.
it's in the Bible. It's bound to happen, but they seem like they want to rush it, for some reason. Um and I really don't understand that because they don't believe Christ ever came the first time. Some of them, not all of them, some of them are finally seeing this. So, unless they're just thinking that their firstborn son is going to, which they do, their firstborn son is the savior coming the first time.
Right.
So, I'm trying to figure out exactly why they want to rush this thing. You know, um, is it just to fulfill the Bible prophecy? Um,
Well, in
do
their
they think they're
minds,
going to be ruler of the world? I mean, what
well,
is
yeah,
exactly is it?
again, your Bible tells you everything that you need to know, and it is there and everything. The rule is to get that temple built and to usher in what they're thinking they're ushering in the Messiah, when in fact
Right,
the one that will step out and take over the throne will actually be the Antichrist.
right.
So that's you know this is definitely what we're going to see now. Where Christ was crucified, everybody should keep in mind too exactly where he ascended, where he went up before everybody. He actually rose up into the heavens. That's where
Mm-hmm.
he will be landing again. That's where he comes back.
Uh-huh.
It's in the Bible. It is in the Bible. Where he rose and ascended is where he'll return. So that's something everybody might want to keep in mind and everything. So definitely You want to hang on to your bippies over that one.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
Yeah. What did
Let's see
you?
if I
I've
can get.
got this article up about the attacker. Do we want to run? How about we do that quick little ad,
Sure.
and then we can get to this next article. How do you think about that?
Sure. Sounds good. So,
Okay. You might want to lead out with that. Tell them what's
sounds good.
with this. All right, here we go, guys. We're going to show you a little something here. Dee actually did this. She's quite the creator. And so we wanted to, if it's going to play. Come on. Hmm. I'm not sure why it's not playing.
You got the.
Maybe
It
that's
should
why.
be.
What if just 30 seconds could land your next customer? Informed Minds Podcast is offering 10 to 30-second ads for online businesses. And here's why it matters. Podcast listeners aren't background noise. They're engaged, loyal, and more likely to act. They don't scroll past. They trust what they hear. Your brand deserves that spotlight. Get heard. Get found. Book your ad now.
Oh, guys, we're kind of like people that want to advertise on our podcast. It's a win-win for both people. You get your information out and we get our information out. It kind of works, to help each other. So if anybody out there is looking to find some ways to advertise, then you want to check with us and see what we can work together on. Do you have anything else to add to that, Denise?
Just get in touch with one of us. We'll definitely have our emails available and everything within the information under the videos. If in case any of you out there has an online business and you want your name out there a little bit more, you help us out, we'll help you out. Just give us a holler and let us know what you want to do and we'll fix you up.
Right. Okay, so let's get to that article about the crazy loon.
Okay.
Okay, so there was a attacker allegedly rams car, stabs worshipers outside Manchester synagogue, police say. This is done by Mark Tanos. Britain Crimes Religion Police. Religion police, huh?
Yeah.
A man allegedly drove a car into worshipers and stabbed victims outside a Manchester synagogue Thursday morning, killing 2 people and seriously injuring 3 others, as Jews observe Yom Kippur, according to officials. Police shot and killed the suspect outside Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue in Crumpsall, a North Manchester neighborhood with a large Jewish population. Officers responded to the scene at 9:31 a.m. local time, NBC News reported. Greater Manchester Police said bomb disposal teams examined suspicious items on the suspect's body before confirming his death. A congregant prevented the attacker from entering the synagogue, police said. And this was on X. And it says police recalled the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue on Middleton Road in Crumpsall at 9:31 a.m. by a member of the public, stating he had witnessed a car being driven towards members of the public and one man had been stabbed. We are grateful to the member of the public whose quick response to what they witnessed allowed our swift action, and as a result, the offender was prevented from entering the synagogue, a police spokesperson said in news release. Video verified by NBC News shows officers pointing guns at a man on the ground outside the synagogue. The man attempts to stand before an officer, fires one shot. The footage also shows another man wearing a yarmulke, is that how you pronounce that? Lying in blood nearby, the outlet stated. Prime Minister Keir Starmer left a European summit in Copenhagen to chair an emergency response meeting in London, according to the outlet. So you got your statement from the Chief Constable, Sir Stephen Watson, 2 p.m. in response to today's incident on Middleton Road. And that's on X. It says, I'm already able to say that additional police assets are being deployed to synagogues across the country, and we will do everything to keep our Jewish community safe, Starmer told reporters. London's Israeli embassy called the attack abhorrent and deeply distressing. Graham Stringer, the local member of parliament, described it as a dreadful attack designed to damage the Jewish community and damage interfaith and intercommunity relationships. Police kept worshippers inside the synagogue immediately after the attack, but later allowed them to leave. Wow.
So they always kill those people that do bad things. I would like to hear what was on the mind of that individual when they did that thing. I just want to know. I'm not saying that what they did was the right thing, because it certainly wasn't.
Well, you know how that's the thing when they kill somebody like that, they're never going to know.
Yeah.
The dead don't talk.
Right.
So, I mean, if he had whatever reasons it was, I mean, he did the wrong thing, but whatever the reasons were, they will never understand why that crime was committed.
Right. Right.
I don't
all
think
they'll
it's
do
right.
is, yeah, all they do is pretty much have their own theories, and of course, because it was done against a synagogue of people, it had to have been a hate crime. Of course, it looks like that, and it seems to bleed that way and everything. But why? Why were they hating? What was the reason for this carnage? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because some things just drive people totally insane, and they just do the wrong things. They
Right.
choose the wrong actions. But again, it's a crazy kind of thing. You're left wondering with no real answers.
Right.
And I hate to say, like, this is bad for us too on this side too, because it's being allowed on this end too with the same thing. Instead of giving us the truth, they are using Charlie Kirk's death, and they're going to turn this into something else. And they're, it's quite obvious. We can see how it's going to go. So, but we need people to keep speaking up and not let people be deceived into believing
Absolutely,
that.
we do.
So
We're in that age right now. We're learning the truth. And the only way we're going to get above all this is if we expose it, even if it's uncomfortable, even if people say you're crazy, because actually there's a lot of people that's been called that, and there's a lot of things that they've said now that we're finding out is true.
Absolutely.
So, you can't rule anything out. Everyone has an opinion, but those opinions can be made fact if if things keep falling in place, that can be made fact really fast. So, wherever the truth lies, you have to be willing to go there.
Absolutely. Another bit of good news we have too is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Has made a move for a policy change that can eliminate all pharmaceutical ads on TV.
Yes.
So, that's the thing. See, Ozempic, like drugs like Ozempic, that never ever would have reached the heights that it did in sales, nor would have COVID vaccines, all of these things. They never would have reached the height of sales if they had not taken away the need to disclose side effects.
Mm-hmm.
And these drugs, they have a list of side effects that will cost way too much money now to advertise. Now they're being forced to, disclose all their side effects now. So any drugs now that they want to peddle out there and commercials, they're gonna have to pay very heavily because they have to disclose everything now through this policy. So we got that. We have we have that good news there.
Here's that right here. I'll bring that article up real quick.
Which one? They eliminate all pharma?
No, oops. Yeah. I'm gonna bring that article. Let me see if I can do here. Here we go.
Well, it's basically, it does have a little it does have a
there's
video
a little
with
video
that too.
here. We can watch that real quick.
Sure.
Just to back up what you're saying, so that people don't think we're just making things up.
So everything I'm saying, everything I talk about, there is an article on my blog, The Original Brutal Truth, and an article on my website, the Brutal Truth website. So anybody, that says, she's not, telling the truth there, just check out my blog, look it up. And all the links, resource links are included, including, any kind of video that I have accompanying with it. Everybody gets credit and everything. So don't be afraid to do your research. Don't be afraid to look and find out for yourself.
Just to give you a show here, this is her article. There's her video. Then she's got her commentary. And she's got some other things down here as well to kind of go along with it. And she's got a place to comment, and you can like and share it. So really a nice blog. It really is very well done.
Thank you.
So here's this video about RFK. It's not very long.
The president just signed an executive order that's an historic change in the way that pharmaceutical advertising is done on television. And the order basically reinstates or gives us now the opportunity to reinstate the 1997 rules. Prior to 1997, pharmaceutical advertisers were required to put all the side effects on their ads.
So it looks like RFK is trying to find a way to make it harder for Big Pharma to advertise directly to people on television. And the reason why Big Pharma advertises, they're not actually trying to sell you drugs. I know that sounds funny. What they're actually doing is they're giving all this money to cable news shows so that they can control them. So then 70% of their revenue comes from Big Pharma. So now they have to report lies because that's where their bread is buttered. That's where they get all their money from. It's how it works. Big Pharma, that's called corruption. Big Pharma has to list all the side effects now in their pharma ads. RFK Jr. says this will now force pharma companies to decide if they want to run a 4-minute ad or not. This is mission accomplished. This is from MJ Truth Ultra. This is the next best thing next to banning the pharma's commercials completely from television, which RFK has said he's working on doing, but it's going to require the Supreme Court. Because in 1976, there was a Supreme Court case that effectively protected pharmaceutical advertisements on TV as free speech. It is in the Virginia State Board versus Pharmacy versus Virginia State Consumer Council. This case established a precedent for protecting pharmaceutical ads as a form of commercial speech, provided they are truthful and not misleading. Until there are new established ruling, what RFK Jr. just did is monumental. So let's listen to what he says.
The president just signed an executive order making some news here when it comes to pharmaceutical ads.
The president just signed an executive order that's an historic change in the way that pharmaceutical advertising is done on television. And the order basically reinstates or gives us now the opportunity to reinstate the 1997 rules. Prior to 1997, pharmaceutical advertisers were required to put all the side effects on their ads. Many of them didn't advertise because it lengthened because of what it did to the length of the advertising. And that the removal of that requirement in 1997, FDA changed the rule to allow them to report the side effects on a website or on a telephone. And they only had to report a few of them on television. And that triggered a proliferation of these ads. There's only 2 countries in the world that allowed direct-to-consumer advertising by pharmaceutical companies on television. We're one of those countries. New Zealand is the other. It's had a disastrous impact on human health, on people's relationships with their doctors, and really on the entire gestalt where Americans are led to believe that there's a pill for every ill, and that you don't have to exercise, you don't have to pay attention to your diet. Whatever goes wrong with you, you can fix with a drug.
So how much does this change the dynamic for pharmaceutical companies that have been advertising on all kinds of channels and even online? They're going to have to do a lot more specifically.
They're going to have to report all their side effects. In some cases, that might create an advertisement that's 4 minutes long. Back prior to 1997, advertising in magazines had page after page after side effects reported. And so we don't know exactly what it will do, but we know it's going to be better for health, for the health of Americans.
It's significant.
So I think, again, the bright spot in the Trump administration is right here. RFK is getting it done. It's not as fast as some people want, but it's in the right direction for the first time in my life. We're going in the right direction. So he's found a way to make it harder for Big Pharma to advertise, and Donald Trump signed that executive order.
Jimmy, I had no idea. I thought 97 is when they legalized.
That's what I thought. I thought 90.
All they did.
Yeah, I thought in 97 is when they legalized the direct-to-consumer advertising by Big Pharma. But according to RFK, who's the HHS secretary, no, in 97, what they did was they said, you don't have to list all the side effects. So that's when the explosion of Big Pharma commercials happened, because they didn't have to do that anymore. They had to list.
Afford the ad time if they listed all the side effects.
Wow. So this is great news. So as this is what they say, this is the next best thing to banning them completely. This is the next best thing. So they're doing it, because I guess he's going to need the Supreme Court to get him banned completely.
You can go ahead and disconnect. You can shut that off now.
This is great news.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to be just a Jimmy Dore show and everything on Informed Minds. But he's right and everything. Basically, what happened when they loosened up the regulations and they allowed them to go ahead and just list only a few things. Think about this. Whenever you see an ad, you see happy people jumping around. They're healthy. They're great because they're on Ozempic, or they're on this other drug or whatever, Clear Eyes or whatever they're advertising. It's always painted up in a nice setting. Everybody's happy. Everybody's fine. Now they're on this drug, and they hurry up as much as they can. Getting out the side effects and right.
Yes.
Make sure that you consult your doctor. Okay. So, who's going to hear all that? They're too busy watching these people leaping around with sunshine and rainbows, and they're feeling better now and everything because they're on this, and the doctor can give you that now. Everything now. Imagine if anybody was given the truth about these drugs, and instead of these happy, smiling, sunshiny rainbow commercials that you see people actual side effects like full body trembling, like their digits of their fingers or toes and everything falling off from rot or something, or maybe they got a big hole in their butt or in the side of their gut and everything from rot or something like that. Not so happy now, are we? Not so sunshiny now, huh? Right. No. So, and besides the fact, now that they have to, openly talk about all the side effects, it's going to cost way too much money.
Oh
to boot
yeah, I
out for
think that they'll just pull
advertisement.
their ads because they
They
won't
have
want to
no
do
choice to
that.
now. Yeah, they
Yeah.
have no choice to now. They have to pull
Yep.
all the ads that do not have a total summary and everything. It's no longer about trusting the consumer now to go to these websites because I'm sorry, nobody does that because the
Right.
doctors are telling them don't go to Google, don't Google that. Oh, if you're going to go to Google, you're being stupid now and everything. Actually, yes, you can go to Google and everything, but you can't self-diagnose yourself on Google. But yes, you
No.
can go to Google and you can look up these drugs and find out for yourself
Mm-hmm.
all the
Yep. And
side
you can
effects, all
always
the
get a PDR too. Um,
yes,
and look them up. I mean,
that's
you
right.
can buy those, you can get them from the library.
That's right.
And you can look up stuff. And what gets me about those drug ads is they get these people on there, these professional dancers, and
Yeah,
they're dancing like they're just
professional.
feeling like they're on top of the world.
Maybe they're not
and
even professional
and then they're
dancers. They're just
rattling, and then you
actors.
hear those, yeah, and then you hear
They're
those
just
side
actors.
effects, and you're like, well, God, it might have fixed my my pain in my hand, but now it's going to give me the craps for every
Yeah,
time I take
exactly.
it. I mean,
Exactly.
is that a okay? Is that a
Well,
good trade?
Ozempic wasn't just to be fair. Okay, Ozempic is an insulin for diabetics, for type 2 diabetes. That's what
Mm-hmm.
Ozempic is for. Everybody was taking Ozempic because the weight loss
Yeah.
uh, side effect was part of that. There's an appetite suppressant, and it's guaranteed that you will lose weight. How dare these doctors give out that drug? And these
Mm-hmm.
people are not diabetic at all. They just want to lose weight. And then they had problems after because they were
Right.
not diabetic. First of all, they were not diabetic. They're taking insulin shots for no reason
Mm-hmm.
other than they want to lose weight.
Right. So it's bound to give side effects. I mean, it is.
Yeah, yes. It's bad enough, when you're type 2 diabetic and you got to take something like that and everything. You should have a game plan in mind. You're going to change the way you eat. I have to,
Hmm.
and everything. I have to do that and everything. And, I'm on Ozempic and everything. So if anything happens to me, everybody, I'll be the first one to let you know. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been taking it so far and I'm okay. But yes, I've noticed that there are some things that change and everything too. Definitely some things that change. It's you feel like you're slowing down that little bit more. You do. You feel
Hmm.
kind of slowed down. And yes, your appetite goes away, but then you're in a dilemma and everything. Well, what do I eat now? So you better know what you're going to eat so you don't undo the good it's going to do for you, especially if you got kidney damage along the way and your hypertension, high blood pressure is there too. There are definitely things you need to be able to trust your doctor. Unfortunately, we have not been able to trust them since COVID because
Hmm.
and it's not every doctor's fault that this happened either. So we need to kind of take a step back and take a good look at what we're doing here. Okay. There are some doctors that really do want to help you, but they are caught under this, this dome, I want to call it, and everything of medical. Well, the Rothschilds developed all this and everything, so you cannot diverse away from the standard. You have to definitely follow the rules. If you don't, you saw what happened with COVID. Any doctor, any nurse that said, no, this is bad, they immediately got their license revoked. They
Hmm.
immediately were fired from their jobs.
Yep.
These are people that just wanted to ask questions. They asked questions and they said, no, that doesn't make, and because they said those things, because they did that, they were fired. They were fired and they lost their licenses to practice, all because they questioned the science.
Right.
Because
Right. Well, and
there was no
people lost
science.
their jobs,
That's right. There was
even
no.
though they had religious reasons or whatever. It didn't matter. They either did it or they were out, you
Well,
know?
yeah, it's exactly that. It didn't matter your religion. It didn't matter your excuse.
Nope.
It was almost kind of right up there along with, see, this I think is a big rehearsal for the mark of the beast too. I think everything
Yes.
that they've been doing pandemic wise, and there's going to be another one. Watch, it will. They've already said there's going to be another one.
Oh yeah,
So,
they've talked
so they're
about it.
gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, so they're gonna turn up the heat a little bit more. They're gonna be doing things, unexpected things that we're not gonna like. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because that little video that you saw that I created with the troops marching and the enemy within kind of thing. This is going to be taking place in America for real. There is going to be military seen in our cities, in
Hmm.
our states, and this is all under the guise of trying to push back on wokeism, which they will be doing. Yes, this is what we voted for too. Everybody, they will be doing this. Um, Basically because people are fed up and they have woke fatigue now. It's not just black fatigue and Puerto Rican fatigue and white fatigue and it's woke. It's an all over like kind of feel where people have voted for a stop to violence and a stop to crime, a stop to all
Hmm.
these things, and I agree 100% that this is definitely what we should be doing and everything. But the whole premise is kind of scary and
Oh yeah.
some in ways even that reaches me and everything where I'm looking at this going, wait a minute, aren't there better, can't we just go after the mayors and the governors and just go after them, start with the top and the rest will trickle down and everything. But because they can't go after these, mayors and these governors who literally are breaking the law, in my humble opinion, or
Oh yeah.
committing acts of treason, they should be going
Absolutely.
after them and everything. Yes, yes, we do need to curtail crime. And yes, there are gangs out there that need to be dealt with. I totally agree with that. But we need to keep an eye on this situation. We
Hmm.
need to keep an eye on it. When you have military out there, now you can push in the other agenda programs and everything, agenda 21, 25 to 30, the smart
Hmm.
cities. Now they can use the military. They're already there and everything. If you say you don't want the smart city, you want to be out there and you want to protest that, well, guess what? Guess what?
Yep. Yep. You've got military. It'll
You
stop
got
you.
military that will say, "Oh no, you're woke. You need to stop
Right.
doing that." You may not be woke. You could be like you could be just like me or you or anybody else that's out there that does not want this smart city thing because we know where it's all leading to. They're
Oh yeah.
controlling us.
All
They're,
this
they're
AI and everything, it's all
it's all
leading to
about
one
control.
big thing, control.
It's all about
Yes.
control and everything. The
Absolutely.
smart cities are part of that too, with military and force and all the states that are having high crimes and things. They're going to be relying on that military force to enforce the smart cities that
Hmm.
they want to implement. That they're going to start doing very shortly.
Right. And,
So
we have to remember that we just recently heard Canada, Australia, and England or Europe have gone
yes,
to the digital ID.
that's
And
right.
they, over there in Europe, they shut down bank accounts. But I'm
Yes.
sure they did it in Canada too. And if you didn't say you were going to be on board with this, you weren't getting your bank account back.
Well, it doesn't matter if you didn't say. If you don't have an ID, that means you
Right.
just saying no, that you don't want it. You can't conduct any kind of business at all.
No,
It's just like having the mark of the beast, but it's in your hand. That
that's
national
right.
ID thing, it's electronic now and everything. So you can't buy or sell. You can't conduct banking. You can't do anything
Hmm.
without that ID. But it's free. At least you don't have to pay for it. It's free. They make sure they
Yeah.
suck in there totally free, but
Yeah, but the first
mandatory.
time you
But
speak out,
mandatory.
yeah, the first time you speak out and say something they don't want you to say, boom, you
well,
lose
that's
the ability to go buy your groceries for your
well,
children.
that's China. That's China. All you have to do to not get any money or anything like that is just not have the ID. That's it.
Right,
That's
right.
it. Don't get it. Don't get nothing. Don't eat. Don't pay your rent. Don't do your banking. You can't get a job. You can't rent
That's right.
anywhere. You have to have it anyway. So if you don't have those things, I hope you have good tents and camping equipment.
Yeah, because that's one of the things they said over there in the parliament.
Right.
If you don't want this, if you don't accept this ID, then you are not going to be able to get a job.
Right. You don't, if you don't have a job, you can't make money and you can't buy food.
Nope. Yep. I mean, you think about bartering and trading, there's a lot of
Excuse me.
things you can do, but the fact remains that the bank wants money to pay your mortgage. The
Right.
landlord wants money to pay your rent.
That's right.
The electric company wants money. They don't want you to come clean for them
And if
or
everything,
build something for them.
that's
They
right.
want the money.
They want it now. And now with electronic funding, electronic banking, everything is instant. Everything is done instantly.
Right.
When the day comes up for your cell phone to be paid, it could be drawn right out. It'll be drawn right out of your banking account. Everything is going to be connected. They're doing it here in America too. They're quietly doing that right here in America.
Oh, yeah. Well, they started it as soon as they issued out the debit card and the credit cards. That was our digital card, and it got us used to doing that. It got us used to going to the cash machine to do our business and to do credit card business, and then you pay that, through the bank.
Right.
And, I mean, it's that it was gearing us up for what's coming.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not like they're not telling you. They even evil has its rules. Evil and the rules on evil is they have to tell you everything that they're going to do.
Uh-huh.
Everything.
And
it's true. They have to do that.
Yeah. And a lot of times they do it in movies. And the movie that comes to
No, they
mind
tell
is
you. No, they
Logan's
actually
Run.
do. Well, actually, they do tell you, actually. Every law that there ever was made is public and you can look it up. They'll even tell you there's no excuse for ignorance of the law and everything. So even if it's a bad law, even if it's wrong, they're still going to publish that and everything. And everything that they do, even in the world, you can see they're doing it openly. They're not even bothering to hide anything anymore.
No.
I mean, if this was something that America, if America would have tried to have done this many years ago, they would have been like question of forcing the president to be impeached or something. I mean, this would not fly. It just wouldn't fly and everything because they would need more than just a president to just back a country that, I mean, when you see things right before your very eyes, I don't think it would have flown back then. But then again, they believe that there was weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. So who am I to say and everything? But everything has a time and in its place for everything. And right now we're seeing things that are happening that we never ever thought we would ever see.
That's true.
So,
Well, I thought we could show this video here about Trump declares the nation under invasion from within.
Yeah, sure.
Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on.
Yeah.
So that just says.
Yep, that just in itself has layers of messaging there. He's not just talking about our borders. He's talking about within and everything. So I really very much hear another message in there when he's talking about that, which also goes hand in hand with the military on our streets. They are going to start going after those who are DEI, those who are definitely working against America First policies, those who are, seemed for years were out of reach. Now they're going to be within reach. Look what they're doing with Comey. They've indicted him. They're going to be raking him through the coals. And not for nothing, Hillary Clinton is going to be next. She's going to be somewhere in the fix of all that too. They're going to go after her and everything because it's no longer acceptable for us to think that, she could get away with everything that she didn't say and didn't answer with stories and crap like that. People want justice. They want justice for, Benghazi. They want justice for the things that she's done for tampering, her and Obama tampering with our elections and influencing through lies and deceit. That something's going to be done about that because they went way too far. They went so far as to have him impeached, our president impeached.
Oh yeah, and they're already vowing that that's what they are going to do again if they get in charge.
But
the
I don't
first
think
thing they're going to do in 2026 is they're going to try to impeach him again if they win.
They're not going to be able to do that. They don't have a snowball's chance in hell of winning another seat. I don't think they do.
They think they do.
They don't.
I don't think they do. I think, matter of fact, Schumer kind of said it. He said when he was talking about the shutdown, which he's not taking the blame for, which he caused.
He did.
He said that oh gosh, I hate that. I did that now to myself, Quarterheimers.
Did you get a brain fart, Mary?
Yes, I did.
That's what happens when we do these live shows, dang it. Dag nabbit. We get those brain farts and it's horrible.
Well, he was talking about, he said, well, we've lost all our base voters. They're not voting for us. So we want the illegals here to vote. We know they'll vote for us and we'll have our votes again. So we're going to stand for them and stand with them. And it's like, gosh, just he really
he's so insane. That's just the most insane thing to hear that, everybody who lives here, who pays their taxes here, everybody, people can just walk across the border and just like they can squat in a house in New York and never get thrown out. And they can do whatever they want and collect all this kind of money that whatever it was like a literal slap in the face of everybody who came over here the right way.
I
there
agree.
were people I knew back in in 2020. I was working with some of these people. These were professional people that worked hard to get their little companies or big companies up and going and everything like that. And they would sit back and they would just like be raging and everything over the idea of these people, these illegals just able to walk across the border and collect all this money, get free housing, get cars, get licenses, when these people had to work and slave. It's hard to get their citizenship and everything too, and do everything they could to do everything right here in America. It was a slap in their face.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was upset about that myself, even though I was born here. I didn't think that was fair at all.
Oh, you were born here? I was born here too.
Yep.
I totally agree with you. And anybody that was born here, that just for some people, they just thought, oh, it's okay. Let's just let them in and everything. We shouldn't have borders. Meanwhile, every other country has borders.
Yeah.
Okay, but we shouldn't have them.
And the ones that have allowed all the people to come into their country are regretting it big time right now.
Some of them are still stupid, and you can't fix stupid.
Like Europe.
Yep, some of them are stupid.
All the Muslims come in there, now they've got a problem.
Yeah, well, we got plenty of them over here in America right now too.
We sure do.
We have actual military bases of Muslim people. They have and I can prove it too. They actually literally
Texas,
have Muslim. Yeah, in Texas.
Texas just signed a deal that they're not going to allow compounds of Muslims down there because it was getting started.
But they already got them.
Yeah, they
That's
do.
a little, that means they're going to dismantle what's been up, because they only just started like realizing, hey, they're building like entire gated communities just for
Mm-hmm.
Muslims.
Right.
And that goes against Texas Constitution and American Constitution, but they're doing it in Michigan, they're doing it in Wisconsin, they're doing it in a lot of your blue states. That's where they're allowing this to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
was it in Michigan or somewhere? I forget which one it is. And please, people, I'm 65, so give me a break. I think, but there is a story out there I came across. I forget exactly where it was. Maybe it was it might have been New York, I'm not sure, but there were some people complaining that they were being woken up now at 5 a.m. for the Muslim
Yes.
prayer.
Isn't
And I'm
that
like,
Minnesota?
I think it might be Minnesota. I think you might be
Mm-hmm.
right and everything. So
Minneapolis, I believe.
Minneapolis, right? They were and literally they have a Muslim mayor and everything, who was listening to the Christian man complain about this, because yes, nobody, I'm sorry, but if you're a Christian, you don't want to wake up at a 5 a.m. like chiming thing and listening to somebody singing in Arabic.
No.
You don't live in Arabia, you don't live in a Muslim country, but you're going to be
Mm-mm.
subjected at 5 a.m. to hearing that.
Right. That's not right. It's not
That's
right
where
at
my
all. Why
rights,
can't they
that's
go
where,
into their own little churches
well,
or temples
again,
or
that
whatever they have
they
and do
have,
that in there?
right, they have a mosque. Why don't they just go in their mosque? Why are they waking people up at
Well, see,
5 a.m.?
this is attempted takeover, is what it
It's
is.
not attempted takeover. It is a takeover. They're doing
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
then people are complaining about it. And then the people who are complaining about are being ridiculed and told afterwards, especially by this particular mayor or governor. I forget which one he was, but he seemed to think that he had the right to tell this man that he was going to make sure that that he was going to be moved out and unwelcome there, and not maybe exactly those words, but all the while saying that you're not welcome here. And this man lives there. It's his city. This is where he
Mm-hmm.
was raised. That's where he lives. And to have a
Mm-hmm.
man say something like that, because they're crossing the line now. Where do your rights end, where it's encroaching on the mine,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing and everything. And these people think that they can just do what they want and everything. I'm not saying they can't
Yeah.
have their own religion. They certainly can and everything. But to hear the church bells at 5 a.m., the mosque bells or whatever they're doing, calling
Mm-hmm.
all Muslims to prayer at 5 a.m., there are city ordinances that are being broken and everything in that regard. So
Mm-hmm.
to tell him, this man who's complaining about it and everything, and citing Sydney ordinances, that he's not going to be welcome in his city anymore, and that they'll have a parade when he moves out. That's just like, no, no, no.
No,
You did
that's
not
not
just say
right.
that. That's just
It's
not right.
not.
And everything. So
Uh-uh.
it's
And you
news like
saw
that
where
that really ticks me.
that Mom Donnie or whatever, he was the front cover of Vanity Fair.
Oh God.
Yeah. It's like, really, guys? You know,
This
he's a
guy,
communist. He's a
yeah,
communist.
talk about the one that's running for New York mayor, right?
Hmm. Which I think he finally gave up because he knew it wasn't gonna win.
Well, the Republicans are struggling to regain control of that city, and you're going to see a big military presence in New York and everything.
Yeah.
That it's going to happen. It's going to
Oh
happen
yeah.
because there are a lot of people in New York City who own property out there that are literally wrestling with squatters and
Yes.
with destruction, with destructive gangs and things like. So there are literally people out there that are trying to save their property, save their businesses.
Hmm.
And New York, if we don't do something about it, it's doomed. It will be
Yeah.
doomed. We might
Oh
as well.
yeah. We
Yeah.
have to do something about that one in
Well,
Portland,
if
Chicago.
we can't save New York, we might as well just dump all the criminals of the United States right over there and blow up the bridges and leave them all there. Make New York one big prison compound.
Like they did in the movie.
like they did in the movie. There you go. Block off, In other words, the only people who can come and go are either by boat or by air, and there'll be no boats or airplanes or anything allowed in New York City anymore.
Right.
Nothing, no helicopters, no nothing, and
That's
everything,
right.
and they'll just be, that'll be it.
They'll
That'll
just
be
have
that.
to handle each other in there, however they do.
They'll be the New York Alcatraz. That's what it'll
Yeah.
become.
Yeah.
Everything. So,
And
but
Trump says here, and just so you know what he's got on his mind, Trump calls for using U.S. cities as a training ground
that's right.
for military and unusual speech to generals.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we got the cartels that are also embedding themselves within communities. That is dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
The ICE agents going after them. We've got the protesters that are throwing things at them and hurting them. California wants them to take their masks off so that they can be spit on and they can be recognized and then they can be threatened at home. Yeah, this is a real mess. It really is.
I think that the police ICE have every right to cover their faces, because they're
I think
putting
they
their
do
lives out
too.
there. They're risking their lives as it is already and everything,
Mhm.
and why should their families be made to suffer and everything? They're just doing they are doing their job. I don't care what kind of emotional mind game they're trying to play. Wait, they're hurting innocent people. They're not innocent. I'm sorry. No, they're
Mhm.
not innocent. They came over here, they had 4 years to get a green card and do the right things, and they did not. These people just thought they were going to live in the lap of luxury, live in motels for the rest of their lives, being fed and dressed and everything at our expense and everything,
Mhm.
including their medical health and everything, which is that issue with this, But that it's all going to come to a screeching halt. It truly is, and everything, because with the mass layoff that the White House is planning, it's not just a layoff. They're just going full speed ahead now with those who have are leaving with a pay stipend. They'll be basically being paid to leave and everything. So it's all going in full speed ahead now because they had until this around this time, September, October, and everything. That's it. They've been paid off. They had their money. They were made to go, and now anybody else that's around that's still under DEI, or just their job is just like unfruitful and unnecessary. Those jobs are going to go, and everything. This is the stuff that Chowderhead there is like crying about and everything. What's his face there? What's his name? Oh, another brain fart. The one who's complaining that it's not his fault, and when in fact it is his fault. The Democrat guy,
Oh, Schumer.
Schumer. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, everybody. But blame it on the the insulin injection. But by the hour and everything is getting near the hour. But anyway, the thing is, Schumann allowed this to happen. They did. They could have worked with everybody. They could have made things right. They could have made themselves look a little bit better. Not that Schumann will ever look good at all after all the years of crap that he's been doling out to everybody and everything.
Mhm.
But but they're going full speed ahead. The reason why they're just using excuses for the health care for migrants and everything like that. These people are all going to be moved out. They're all going to be moved out. Anybody that's been on welfare all this time, they're going to be pushed off of welfare. Anybody that's been on Section 8, they're being given their pink slips, already being told, you have so much time to get your shit together because you're going to be off of Section 8. This is money that's no longer going to be funded to all the blue states. That's basically what it comes down to. All the funding that these blue states have been given have been going to Section 8, Medicaid, this, that, and the other, and everything. So anybody, who is not paying their way, they're going to have to start shaving them off.
Mhm.
That's basically there's nothing else they can really do. They can't give you like money from out of thin air if there's nothing there to give. So now
Right.
they're starting to shave off the people that really don't belong on, capable people that are in their ripe in their prime of their age and everything, who should be working, who's not, who's using children as an excuse to not work and
Mm-hmm.
everything, sitting at home, painting their nails, like, living on SNAP and their welfare money. That stuff had to come to an
Pumping
end
out
a long time ago.
11 children when they know that they can't
Yes,
take care of that many on their own without
that's right.
help.
And they're creating generational, they created generational welfare.
Yeah,
This started
absolutely.
from the 60s on, from the 60s on,
Hmm.
that we've had generational welfare.
Yeah.
Not every family, but there are a lot of families, literally, they can say that their grandparents were on welfare
Yes.
and
And
everything.
welfare was designed to give you a lift up when you have
Yes.
get in a slump, lose a job, can't
Actually,
pay your
welfare,
bills. It was there to
well,
give you a lift up and
well
bring you
that's what they
back up so
said.
you could get through that slump, not
Well,
to live on for the rest of your life.
here's the thing, okay? We all know that welfare was created for another reason. Okay, in the beginning, there was assistance and everything for women who had men in the military, and they had to go off to war and they had to do things for the military, and we
Hmm.
understood that and everything. But then after a while, it became an interest to the United States to separate men and women from and destroying the family and everything.
Hmm.
That's why welfare became a favorite kind of a program to fortify and to recreate and everything. And literally, my mother was having problems with my father and everything, and welfare would be like right there knocking on the door. If you need to and everything, go on welfare. All you have to do is throw him out, and we'll put you
Hmm.
right on. And this is true.
Yep.
Tell me, anybody out there in the listening audience, too, tell me any of you who know a family or was in a family where you had to be on welfare. There's nothing to be ashamed of, because
Oh
situations back
no.
then, were as they were and everything. Police did not really do a very good job policing domestic violence. And we all know
Hmm.
where domestic violence came from too, even everything from drinking and
Right.
debauchery and all the things that they were kind of letting society do. And that, of course, is going to affect the American family. It's going to affect anybody's family. Okay, so there's been a playbook all along. All you have to do is you do the research, it's there. There's been a playbook. The communist playbook has been there all along. We have been slowly indoctrined into socialism. It's been going on for a long time. It's been going on with welfare. John F. Kennedy knew this too. He was trying to stop a lot of things, but he got killed for that. Just like
Yes.
Charlie Kirk got killed because he's seen
Yeah.
things, what's going on with Israel and America and different things like that and everything.
Yep.
We have a situation now where our government is so far into, like, debt. And I think the Trump administration did the best they could. And I think they did a great job too, to be really honest with you. I may not be happy with Israel and our involvement with that, but there are a lot of good things that the Trump administration has accomplished. Okay, but again, they can only do so much and everything. And when you got the Democrats fighting you tooth and nail over every little thing, and they're
Hmm.
dragging them through court, and every court, every land and every state has been dragging everything into court. And I think
Hmm.
after a while they had to get the Supreme Court involved with that and everything to put a stop to that, because all these judges across the United States suddenly felt that they had more power than the president.
Right.
And I mean in everything, not just deportation, and all that kind of stuff. They were going after Trump for every little thing that they
They
could
were. They
and
were.
everything, fighting him tooth and nail. And I've never seen that done with any sitting president like they've been doing
No.
with him.
No, I think it's because they knew that if they gave him a chance, he was going to let everybody know what they were all up to. and he has done that. He has slowly let us figure this out.
Yeah.
He gives us a little bit and we figure out the rest. He gives us a little bit, we figure out the rest. And as he says, he's standing in the way of them coming after us. But again, he's a man. He's not our savior, and
Right.
he needs our help. We cannot expect him to accomplish everything himself. And
Which,
Bannon even mentioned on the
right.
podcast the last couple of days that he could see President Trump's very tired.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And
he's
he
definitely
looks
worn
very
down.
tired.
He is.
Yesterday in that meeting with RFK, and they were talking about pharma and
Yeah.
everything and the prescription drugs and coming down and all that. He looked like he was going to go to sleep up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's not exactly a spring chicken anymore, is he?
No, he
So
isn't.
he isn't. So, but so getting to bring back to the point what we were saying about what needs to be done in order to undo the damage that's being done to this country. One of the first things that's going to have to come out is that Epstein list.
Absolutely.
That needs to come out. We need to see those names. We need to know.
Absolutely.
We need to know who the wizard is behind the screen.
Absolutely.
Okay, because it's not Donald Trump. There's
No.
somebody behind the scenes that is preventing this president besides the Congress. We're talking about old school. We're talking about we're talking about old bloodlines that are in
Mm-hmm.
charge of this country, that literally are in charge of this country. It's not about the president at all. They just let
Mm-mm.
him do, they let him do what he needs to do, of course, and everything like that. But there is an agenda that keeps them all out of the limelight, that keeps them from being discovered in the dirty deeds that they've done and everything. And
Right.
sometimes that actually means to rehash history and taking a look at history again, taking a look at old footage in the Senate floor, go back to like notes and everything, go back to old interviews and everything. We need to do these things. We need to rediscover exactly what brought us to this point,
Mm-hmm.
to this in time and everything, where we need to get rid of those who are being traitorous to America right now
Absolutely.
in the
Till we weed
Congress.
them out, we're not going to get rid of this problem.
Well, see, if that's the thing, right? They're already planning to weed people like us out. They
Right.
do not want anybody, anti-Israel in the Congress.
Mm.
They've already gotten a promise from the House Speaker and everything. The APAC has already gotten a promise from Mike
Yeah, I
Johnson,
thought I
our House
heard that the
Speaker.
other day.
Yes, yes. I told you about that too. That
Mm-hmm.
he promised that he would start weeding out those who are against Israel and start pushing them out of MAGA, start pushing them out and everything and alienating them and everything. That's constitutionally wrong what they're doing. They are allowing a
Absolutely.
foreign government to dictate our policies and our freedom of speech and our influences. They want Israel to influence America. They want Israel to be the foreshadow of American religion, American politics. They were
Mm-mm.
going to use Charlie Kirk as a fresh, God fearing Republican nationalist
Right.
to do this kind of work, but Charlie found out the truth,
Right.
and he started
Oh my gosh,
already.
that makes complete sense.
Yes.
Complete sense. And what
Now we see.
evil people this
Yes.
is, to disrupt a family and take away a dad of little children
Yeah.
and a good husband. What the heck? This is evil to its core.
Well, and now
And
they
we have
use
to
him.
stop this stuff. We
Right.
have to.
Now there's a struggle between two spiritual classes right now. You have, and it's MAGA split down the middle. One side wants to use Charlie as this spiritual pro-Israel guy, but it's falling apart. They can't hold that up because there are just way
Right.
too many people speaking out about that. Even George Galloway, brain fart time and everything. I actually have some stuff up about him too, by the way, everybody. Let's see, I got George Galloway. George Galloway is one of the bravest men I know on this planet. He's been around for a long time, and he's been talking big about the United States role with Israel. And and he will give you, this man will give you an education like nobody's business. If anybody wants to take a look at that, it's one of the articles I have on the Original Truth blog, and I'm going to go ahead and post that right now, right into the room, right into the Rumble room. And that is the article for George Galloway on being detained. He was literally being detained, him and his wife, in another country and everything, and as he was going around, discussing the state of the world and everything. So, we're looking at the only way America is going to be able to get out of this and dig ourselves out is to reveal those who who are committing treason, who are allowing a foreign government to influence our freedom of speech and to curtail our freedom of speech, influencing our politics. We need to reveal these people right away. And the only road to recovery therein is to restore the Constitution and to impeach those who've been part of that treachery, being traitors as they were and everything, taking money, taking gifts, taking bribes, and everything. That's really what it's about. These people need to be exposed. They need to be impeached or removed, however they want to do it, and everything. And and we need to replace them with people who are America First people, who are constitutional minded. That's the only way we're going to save America, is to do that. Any other way is just going to be bloody hell. It's going to be bloody hell, and it's just going to get worse. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. What America needs right now, what they're demanding, they're demanding transparency all the way now. They want it all the way. We want to see the Epstein list. We want to know who those are on Congress who are being blackmailed by Israel, and we want to know who are being compromised and everything by accepting bribes, gifts, what have you, whatever,
Right.
and everything. So
and
they're
it's on
pushing
both sides of
Israel's.
the aisle.
Yes,
It's
both
not
sides.
just the Democrats, it's the Republicans too.
That's right, especially the Republicans too, because
because
that
actually
party
the
is
Republicans
divided.
are more for Israel than the Democrats are.
Yes, they are.
So
yes, they are. You're absolutely right. But remember, not all Republicans are Republican. They're
true.
Republican and name and title only. They're not real Republicans.
That's right.
So it's time to start weeding them out, not the other way around.
And you can see the ones that are doing it. Every time something's going for America First, they're the ones that vote no.
Well, the Democrats will automatically vote no anyway, because
No, I'm talking about the Republicans.
But there are some, but not all of them. Only like half.
Right.
Maybe about half. The others are common sense and can see that Israel has no place in our politics. Really, they don't. There should not be an AIPAC agent assigned to every congressperson. What the hell are they doing there for? Get them out.
Right.
They don't belong there.
No, and we don't people like Ilhan Omar, AOC, Maxine Waters.
Yep.
Those people don't belong in there either, and if they don't like America, they need to get the hell out.
Yeah, these
people
go
somewhere else. There's plenty of other countries to go to.
Yeah, I am getting very tired of seeing people in our Congress that are just there for the countries where they came from. It's like, why are you here? Why are
Yeah,
you a congressperson? You live in America now. You know,
right.
if you want to help your country, go back there, go live there, and go help them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I thought we could end off with a little bit about that 31 Atlas. There's a lot of people talking
Oh,
about that.
oh yes.
Kind of leave us on a little happier
Here,
note
three
here.
eye. It's actually called Three Eye Atlas. And oh, and just to reiterate what I was talking about with Jesus, um, in Acts 1:9-11, after Jesus's resurrection, his disciples watched as he was taken up into heaven from the Mount of Olives, just outside of Jerusalem. As they stood in awe, two men in white robes, interpreted as angels, told them, "This same Jesus who has been taken from you into heaven will come back in the same way you have seen him go into heaven."
Yeah,
So this is something that everybody wants to keep their eyes open with. This is going to be the place where we have the aliens come down
mm,
and rescue us. Remember, the first appearance will not be the right ones. They will be the deceivers.
right. Right.
But we do know that Christ will return back the same way that we've seen him go to heaven. So there's
Right.
no mistaking that. But there will be a big mistake with the first one that comes along that says the other one. We already know that's going to be the Antichrist.
Oh, yeah.
So don't be surprised if we see it happening, because that's why they're so desperate to get to the Mount of Olives.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to get this going.
They want to get this going. They want to make sure that they're there on time, because this is all about timing. This is all about prophecy and timing. And after certain things have been completed, when prophecies have been fulfilled, that will be the time. And of course, that's when everything's going to come down on us. There's going to be such sights that we never would have thought we would see in our own lifetime. The two witnesses, I can't wait for them. Oh God, I can't wait for them. That will be a show. That's going to be a show. Excuse me.
Yeah,
So,
this is all gonna be something. I mean,
absolutely. Now, getting back to the Three Eye Atlas, that let me just look up what I have here.
well, I've got this article here that says, "Alert: the U.S. government knows something big is coming."
Yeah.
And that's about three. So I thought I'd play the video here, and it's got, of course, the three big guys: Miller, Hegseth, and
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered hundreds of top military leaders to gather at a Marine Corps base in Virginia next week. The directive was sent to nearly every top U.S. military commander around the world. That includes officials in conflict zones stationed throughout Europe, the Middle East, and the Asia-Pacific region. First of all, how unusual is this in your experience, and what do you suspect is going on here?
Yeah, Willie, if this is usual and this is unusual, we're way out in terms of unusual in this one. It is never, that I know of, ever occurred in the history of the military where everyone is brought in. Now, certainly during wartime, generals commanding in a theater are brought in individually with their team, or the president or the secretary of defense visits them at their theater of operation. But I've never seen anything like this before, and it just seems extremely bizarre and strange.
And finally, scientists believe that we may have caught a whisper from another universe, and this is not a sci-fi film, but a real signal that could have slipped through a cosmic wormhole. The big question is, did we just hear from a parallel world or not?
I want to know, you mentioned following the data here. What does the data show you in the past? Is there anything that you can compare this to in the past, or is this something just completely brand new that we've absolutely never seen before?
Yeah, it's something we've never seen before because only over the past decade we had telescopes that can survey the sky for such objects that are sensitive enough, and computers that can digest large quantities of data as we currently have. So this is a completely new frontier.
It began as a tremor, a strange ripple recorded by one of the world's most advanced gravitational wave detectors. At first, it looked like the usual chatter of the universe. Black holes colliding, stars exploding. But then, the signal bent the rulebook. Its shape was wrong, its rhythm unfamiliar. It was as if the cosmos itself had coughed out a secret. The detectors at LIGO and Virgo confirmed a single sharp jolt of a gravitational wave over in less than a tenth of a second. Scientists from the International Gravitational Observatory now say the anomaly might be the first ever hint of a wormhole. A wormhole is a hypothetical tunnel-like passage in space-time that connects two distant points, acting as a shortcut that could allow for rapid travel across vast cosmic distances or even through time. Now scientists say that this wormhole could have carried a message, a pulse from a parallel universe, a signal not born in our galaxy, not even in our universe, but leaking in through a cosmic shortcut. Researchers say the energy spike was so precise, so alien to known physics, it could not be explained by ordinary events. The discovery, if confirmed, would shatter everything we know about space and time. Wormholes are supposed to be unstable, collapsing instantly, but this signal suggests one stayed open long enough to let something through, not matter, not spacecraft, but information. The data is still being crunched, but make no mistake, if this holds up, we are staring at the first proof that our universe is not alone. Somewhere out there, a mirror reality might exist, with its own stars, its own Earth, perhaps even its own version of us.
Well, General, let me just ask you strategically, how stupidly dangerous is this?
It's pretty dangerous, Joe. What I'd say is, a lot of people are looking at it from the general's perspective, them thinking, what the heck are we going to hear? Because I don't think from what I've talked to some of my colleagues that are still active, they don't know what this is about. So it could be about a shifting national security strategy. It could be cuts to the General Officer Corps. Secretary Hegseth has mentioned that several times. It could be about the upcoming budget stalemate, or it could be concerns over information leaks or press leaks.
But General, don't they have communication systems where they can do that so we can actually keep our generals and our admirals in the field where they are needed?
Certainly, Joe, and they're called secure video teleconferences. It is the same thing as a secure computer, not Snapchat, not Signals app. This is no kidding secure stuff. It's just like a SIPR computer. But the problem is, when you move that many general officers to Washington, it's not just the generals that are concerned. I would suggest that both our allies and our foes are thinking to themselves, what the hell is going on in Washington? When a general comes into the Pentagon to talk to his boss, the Secretary of Defense, no one really knows it. There may be indicators, but when you're talking about publicizing over 800 senior leaders, commanders, as well as their senior enlisted advisors, their sergeant majors or their Navy chief petty officers, this is something that's going to garner attention, where people are going to say, what's going on with the U.S. military? What are they planning? Why is this so important that you're pulling 800, as suggested by the Washington Post, or more into the Washington, D.C. area? It's undescribable.
Yeah, and it's not just foreign militaries that are confused. Our own military is confused. Talking to some of these generals who have no idea why this is happening and are not sure why there's such secrecy.
It's about 10 times bigger at the very least relative to the previous interstellar object, and maybe even 50 times bigger than the first interstellar object. And that means that it's somewhere between 1,000 to 100,000 times more massive than the other two interstellar objects that we've seen before. Now, how do we know that? It's basically, we see how much material is evaporating from the surface of the object in the direction of the sun. And that tells us how much push the object could get from that evaporation. But we don't notice, based on all the data that was collected between the 15th of May and the 23rd of September, there is no indication that the object is being pushed away from the sun. And based on all the data that was collected in about 4,000 observations from 227 observatories around the world, we were able, in a new paper, to set a limit on the mass of the object. It has to be very massive so that this evaporation is not pushing it much. We get a mass of 33 billion tons. That's the minimum mass. The object needs to be more massive than that, 33 billion tons, so that it will not be pushed back by the level of evaporation that was measured for it. And that means if you translate that for solid density, you end up with a size that must be larger than 5 kilometers. Now, this is just a lower limit. It could be much larger than that. It could be larger than Manhattan Island. 5 kilometers is about half the size of Manhattan Island. So we don't know how big it actually is, but we have a lower limit, a minimum mass, a minimum size that it could have, and that one is already, 100,000 times bigger in mass than the first interstellar object. Now, why is that puzzling? Well, there is a limited reservoir of material available in interstellar space, and we should have seen 100,000 objects like the first one, Oumuamua. That was the first interstellar object. It was given the name Oumuamua because it was discovered by a telescope in Hawaii, and that means a scout in the
Well, that's not
So
one.
stall there going on.
Yeah, I think it did. Let me
That's
trust.
okay.
Let it
So
catch it.
basically,
I think we kind
yeah,
of covered it.
yeah. So basically, what's happening there? You can see that the creator of the video was going back and forth, trying to create a scenario between our mass hundred generals having to meet all in one spot over here, and the coming of 3I Atlas. So a lot of people, they're trying to speculate, why these hundred generals were gathered together and what was that all about. So the thought here, I think, with this creator was that he was going to hone in on the generals at the same time with 3I. I was more interested in the wow signal in connection with 3I.
Let's see if that. Yeah, I've got that one up too.
So yeah, that's okay. That was part of it too. But that's just this person, this creator is just reflecting those who believe that these generals are being gathered together to prepare for 3I Atlas possibly whacking Earth. Or maybe there's another possibility that they think that 3I is going to deposit that those aliens, that they might be the aliens that are coming to save everybody. But I don't know. See, that I'm not quite sure about how that works. All I know is that the so-called second coming is not going to be the real deal. They're not here to help us. They've always been here. These are the fallen ones. Right. That's what I do know. And they have technology. We might as well just call it as we see it at this point. They do have technology. They do have knowledge. It shows in Genesis that the angels had technology and knowledge. Ezekiel saw wheels within wheels. That you can only. The reason why he described it that way was because he didn't have the language that you and I know today. He didn't know what to call a machine. and he didn't know what to call something that, seemed to be, have lights that were looking out in all directions, moving back and forth without any need to turn around, all these different things that they're saying that they saw in the Bible, chariots of the gods.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about the connection with the Bible and everything, and how people back in that time, how they would describe machines. So that this is why I believe in a government of God. I do believe in Jesus. I do believe Jesus is coming back. I do believe. I think the God, the spiritual God, is just like the Bible says. It's a face we can never look upon. And because we will die. Because
Right.
we can't.
He's too brilliant. He'll
Too
blind
brilliant.
us. And
that's right.
yeah.
So I believe that the government of God, that Christ is head of, the kingdom, the government. It's still a government. To me, it's still a government and everything. So it's still going to be ruled, here on earth. There's going to be a kingdom here on earth governed by Christ. And of course, there will be a kingdom in heaven as well. But only certain people will be able to go in heaven. The rest of us will remain down here. But, before that happens, there's still going to be, the deceived. There's going to be the deceiver. There's going to be the Antichrist, who will, sit on, in the seat of the throne, declaring himself God. God, he's always been, he's always owned this world pretty much. I mean, he's been given this world. It is his, but his time is running out. Christ is returning.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to hurry up and gather as many souls as he can possibly do. And that will come along with the mark of the beast, too. That's just that one more thing that's going to grab everybody up.
That's when we have to say no. Absolutely stand our ground and not go back on what we say.
That's right. And you may have to die. You may die. And
you may.
Saying no, you may die. You may be beheaded. You may be killed.
Yeah.
But you just
the
martyrs
were, the apostles were all died. They pretty much all I think died for their beliefs. So
that's right. That's absolutely right.
And it wasn't always, just easy death either.
No,
Some of them were very much tortured.
Yes. So that's absolutely, and we might
have to be ready for these things.
That's right. You just have to reside within yourself that you belong to Christ and never, ever surrender that.
That's right.
They could do whatever they want to your body, but your soul belongs to Christ. That's not your soul. It's not yours to barter with like that. Unfortunately, we do have free will and everything, but you don't want to give up your soul, because once you do that, there's no turning back. There's no redemption for you.
That's right. It's absolutely right. Here's this wow thing we could run through real quick, and then we probably ought to think about letting everyone get to bed.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So, basically.
There we go.
This is Dapu 7. We have Avi Loeb now raising a very interesting question and backing it with some data, as he has the entire time. People want to flip out and say, oh, this object, it's just a comet. Well, it doesn't have all the signatures of a normal comet. So you can call it a comet. If you want to be one of the people just to speculate and guess, then that's all you're doing. But with the data that they're getting and analyzing, they're able to tell many different things. For instance, you can look at an object in space and just tell by its color what it's burning off, what kind of metals and everything that it has, and properties of it. But some people are so small-minded, they think that space is fake, and it's a big screen wrapped around this place, although rocks are coming through it somehow and keep hitting us, and they can't explain that, or where the projector is, or how any of it works. But this object is making its way in toward us. It's the biggest interstellar object we've ever seen. It's dropping down, like dropping from the sky straight down and then flattening out on our plane. That's a 0.005 chance of a natural object ever doing that. in having a reason to flatten out on our plane. Something would have had to have controlled it to make it do it, because it's not affected by the gravitational force of our sun. Okay, it's a visitor, like Oumuamua, passing through our neck of the woods. And now, Avi Loeb, with all the controversy surrounding this, whether it's a comet or something more, he's saying, by looking at the data, that this famous WOW signal that was discovered back in the 70s, which was said to be extraterrestrial in nature, it was discovered August 15th of 1977. It was a strong narrow-band radio signal that was picked up by Ohio State University's Big Ear Radio Telescope. And it was originally inferred to be extraterrestrial. The latest natural explanation hypothesized for the WOW signal could be connected straight to this object coming toward us. This is why. They say that the WOW signal originated from the sky coordinates of right ascension, or RA 19 hours 25 minutes equals 291 degrees, and a declination of negative 27 degrees. Okay? They say on August 12th, 1977, per all the stuff that they have now and tracking this thing back, Atlas, at its speed and distance, they say that they put this at 600 times the Earth-Sun separation. That is AU. They say that this thing was right in the neck of the woods from where the signal came from. The characteristics and the odds of all these things, plus soft disclosure. We all know there's a big show, a big illusionary show that they're going to be pulling off, whether it's Bluebeam or whatever lies they're going to kick out. It's coming at some point, and how it's going to be played, we don't know. But all the signs are there of technology being rolled out in front of us. Look at the drones that row over Jersey in America. They could outrun all of our aircraft. We couldn't pick them up. You couldn't jam them. It was all new technology that we didn't even know who was running them until Trump got in there and said, oh, they're ours. Yeah, they had FAA lights on them. We knew that they were ours. But they won't say nothing else about them, just like they won't about the gold in Fort Knox and all the other lies that we're constantly fed, right? Well, this thing is up there and it's heading this way. And it's massive. And to me, it's very interesting. For people that want to say, oh, it's nothing, well then go about your business. People that have any intelligence are going to want to see what this thing is. And you may see it regardless. It may brighten. They don't know what it's going to do. When it comes off the other side of the sun, even though it's not supposed to be affected by the sun, it seems to have come right in around the sun like it is affected by the sun. And seeming that it's not affected by the sun, why did it even come in around the sun like that? It's almost like it's posing as it's a comet or something. I, for one, believe there's all kinds of life out there. All throughout the cosmos, there's wormholes you can hit, different places, different dimensions, all that good stuff. Different life out there. And you don't have to look any further than right here on this rock for other life. Okay? For people that don't read their Bibles or anything like that because of whatever reason, what knowledge is there? Your basic instructions before leaving Earth, they told you right there that there was other life here. The fallen. They came into our women, snatched them up, had these horrible creatures called the Nephilim, made this place so bad they had to flood it out and reset it. Yeah, did you forget about all that? Because they're already here, and they were here after the floodwaters receded. Jubilees, the Book of Giants, the Book of Enoch, all this that they stripped from your Bible covers it and connects all the dots. They're here. It's who your government has always been worshiping. Who do you think they sold us out to? Huh? Them. They are here, out of sight, out of mind. So this doesn't ever have to be about green men or the boogeyman coming from space to destroy us. The bad guys are here. They are locked here. It is written. Duh. Okay? So could it be by chance that if someone is coming down the hall, down our solar system hall, that it could be a good guy? Seeming that all this evil is locked in here? I don't take it off the table. Why could it not be? It could be anything. And now that the signal is set to be coming right from this region, I think somebody's hinting at something again here. And Avi has come out and he said from the beginning all these crazy characteristics. But again, they're not just conspiracy. It's all data. When he come out and he said, look, this thing could be manufactured. Why? Because when you look at all the nickel's put out in a way that you see on Earth, it's manufactured, not naturally. Naturally, on comets, nickel has an equal composition of iron kicked out with it. That's missing with this. Not to mention it has this strange, huge layer of CO2 around it like it's emitting it. And it's lacking all the water that you see in a normal comet, all the ice that you would see to off-gas it. Not to mention its tail was pointing the wrong freaking way. Oumuamua that came through here had no tail. They waited till it passed through to tell you that it was all the details of it. Long, cylindrical in nature, metallic in nature, had no tail. It picked up speed when it left off out of here. So, like, you can keep sleeping on all this stuff and saying, oh, it's just fake. You'd be kind of foolish. You're missing all the signs here that they're at least setting the stage for a big show. So, those that have a small mind will continue to have one. Those that have intelligence will see that something is afoot here. And all of the signs are there that something is about to happen. And again, the bad guys are here. They're locked here. Don't ever forget that. Forget Little Green Men and all that stuff. They're here. And Tucker Carlson even came out on national television for all the millions out there that follow him that he can reach. And he told them, they're here. Go look it up, man, if you've been living under a rock. He said, they're here. They're under the earth and they're in our oceans. He said it flat out. Disclosure's been happening softly with breadcrumbs. And it's all been laid out there. How about the clip they just dropped here recently of them striking the orb with the Hellfire missile, it breaking into 3-4 pieces, and all the pieces stay flying with it? You've never seen nothing like this in history. They're coming out the woodwork with stuff as this thing gets closer. Now, here this week, it will be on a close approach to Mars, which is going to be fascinating. It's going to be so close that whatever cameras they've got up in the vicinity, they're going to turn on this thing, and we should finally be able to see this thing up close and personal for what it is. And then it's going to hide behind the sun and be hidden behind the sun for a minute until it emerges off the other side. It's going to have a real clear view of Venus, and then it's going to make its way out, and it's going to pass right past all the moons of Jupiter. The odds and the timing of this thing are critical. So, of course, there's tons of lies out there and tons of psyops. But from what I take from it, the psyops throughout all these years have damaged a whole generation of people out there that think things that they can't even prove or even put any data behind. So, hey, start there. Then come see me. Join me for the live streams going live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Talking about this and a whole lot more. Hope to see you there. Eyes to the skies.
This is where Project Bluebeam would come to the mind of most people. There probably, there probably is a 3-eye atlas. Anybody can go to an observatory and they can, they can see into the sky, they can see past the moon, they can see things. So, let's say the trajectory is exactly what they're saying it is and everything. Let's say now they decide they're going to want to play with this information and they want to make something out of it. Let's say they want an alien landing. That's where Project Bluebeam really comes in handy, where they use the sky as a projector. Actually, they use the sky as like a background screen. There's enough metal and spray up there now that will last for a long time yet to come. Even if they didn't stop spraying, it's still up there. And they can use that as a big movie screen. They can.
Yeah.
Project Bluebeam is really all about that, to display an illusion, a hologram, working, moving holograms that'll literally show you, like, spacecrafts coming out, hovering over us. Hi, we're here. We've come to help you. All that kind of good stuff. Or they can have an alien invasion where some of us are fighting them off and everything. This is a big fight now. All of a sudden, we're seeing a battle of heaven coming up, and the good guys that win are actually the bad guys, but they're telling us they're the good guys. Okay, it's a tangled web, and a lot of people, probably listening. There could be people listening to me later on during the week, whatever, listening to the show, going, "God, she's alone." Because I got people in my ear. One would be saying, "Oh, there's no space. You know that, right? You know that there's no such thing as space." And of course, the same person go, we're living under a big giant dome and everything. And then I got
flat Earth.
Right. Yeah, and then I got other people. I got other people on my right ear going, here's a map. You got to see this map. Look at all that land outside of the land we're living on. And everything. There's actual other continents outside of our own continents. I'm like, yeah, isn't that amazing? And everything, but because we don't know if it's real or not. We don't. All I can ever do is just, that's right. All I can ever do is just like be respectful, go, okay, all right, thank you for showing me that.
Right.
It's really
right.
There's not much else I can say. I can't prove it's real. I can't. I can't. And then, of course, you have your Admiral Byrd, who claims he went into the earth itself, and that there's a civilization that lives in the earth itself.
Yeah, down in the center.
And that these are the ones who are here. Yes, that these people, this race, has been here longer than we've been here. Way longer. Way longer. And something? I'm more inclined to believing Admiral Byrd than I am with anybody else at this point and everything. They're all well-meaning and they're probably giving me some information, but it's not the big picture. But the Bible has the big picture. And if you look in the books that have been taken out of the Bible itself, you will find out that there were civilizations that were already here before we came along. And that's what the big fighting was really all about, too. The serpent in the garden was not the devil. That was another species who did not like the idea that we were created and planted that we were being, placed here on the earth, that we were going to flourish. They didn't like that. So, of course, they're going to come along. They got snakes don't talk. Snakes don't feel. This is not a snake that was crawling down a tree going, hey, look at this nice apple I got for you. Right? It's not a lot of people that you wouldn't believe.
Reminds me of a Disney movie.
Yes. Come on. It doesn't have any worms in it. Take a bite. It is there. It's not like, it's not Disney. It wasn't a snake. It got turned into a slithering thing. But again, I think that was like very, there was more to it. The story, the other stories from other scriptures outside of the Bible, unfortunately, because it's not included anymore, and everything, have a very captivating view of what the earth looked like before humans came, who was here. That there was wars already ongoing. So there's definitely something to be said about good and evil and where it came from and everything. Of course, the fallen were from the government of God. They fell from above and everything. Right. So they did come from somewhere, absolutely. But their seed didn't mingle well with our seed. Because once they were cut off from their own kind in the heavens, they had nobody else. They didn't have their women folk, I guess, with them. So they chose the women among us.
Right. And we know where they produce the giants.
That's right. So, but there is so much about that that and more before we were created too. There's just so much information, and it makes sense once you know what's really going on. You can go by faith if you like. That's perfectly fine. If you have Jesus in your heart, that's really, if you have that and you really believe, you will be saved. Yes, but there are some of us that just we're thirsty for knowledge. We want to know who we are, where we came from, why we're here,
Right.
And where we're going and
Right.
everything,
That's something I've always wanted to know.
Yeah, and we're living in a
Why
day and
am I put
age.
here, Lord? Why am I here today? Why?
Right. So, and we're living in a day and age right now where that really does matter. Because if you weren't thinking those things, you're going to be like the NPCs out there. They're just going to go with the flow and everything and sell their soul to the devil. They'll take that mark on their forehead or on their their hand, their right hand, and they will be none the wiser. Oh, they might hear a few things here and there, but of course, Jesus doesn't pay the bills.
No.
Jesus is not going to put food on your table. Jesus is not going to pay the rent. That's what they say. That's what these people say. Well, Jesus, all this stuff about Jesus. It's like, well, yeah, you should have Jesus in your heart because that's your forever guy. This is this, with Jesus, when all is said and done and everything, the evil is swept away. That's all you have left is your life and every relationship you have with God and Jesus.
That's right.
So, but they don't think about that because they're living in the here and the now. They're living in the age of materialism and fake instantaneous pleasures and things like that. And that's that will supersede all kind of thinking about where we came from, who we are, why we're here, where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter when you have Netflix and a big bowl full of popcorn, buttered with the amount that you like in it and everything, while you're smoking a joint
and
with the other hand.
and a big old soda.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it doesn't matter, and to them it doesn't matter. They just sit there. And these are people like, that are just regular everyday people, but these are also the people that won't go out to vote. They don't care what's on the local news or national news. I don't like local news. I just disregard that and I just stick with national news and world, international news. I want to know what's going on, the bigger pictures. And everything, because I already know there's somebody out there robbing somebody might have got stabbed, there might have been an argument here, maybe they caught some criminals, maybe somebody got an award, which is nice, I get it and everything, but I just don't bother with local news. I don't really, unless there's a live shooter in my area, and somebody will tell me, Mom, or somebody will tell me, there's a shooter. They're right around the corner. They're over there. Right down the street, Mom.
Right. Well, we
That's
hear people going down the street once in a while.
Exactly.
Shooting their guns in the air. So we have people that do that here just for the fun of it, I guess.
Yeah. Then there's people over here that'll just fire off fireworks.
Yep.
Firecrackers make you think that they're shooting guns.
Oh, yeah.
And everything. So, and it's sad because, I'll hear them going off. I'll hear fireworks. For all I know, it could be somebody like popping a cap in somebody, for all I know, and everything. Right. But I'm not going to pay attention to that because I'm not going to live in fear.
Right. You can't. No. You can't live in fear. You wouldn't go to work. You wouldn't be able to go out and get your food.
Right.
You just have to be aware of what your surroundings, everything that's going on around you. You can't close your eyes anymore and pretend that this is a perfect world. It is not. Right. And the more you're aware of what's going on around you, the better off you're going to be.
Absolutely.
So just got to keep your eyes open. And as they say, head on a swivel, and when you see things that don't seem right, don't go there. Don't go be looky-loo and decide to go check it out. Just go a different way. Mm-hmm. You're going to hear about it eventually, you just think about your safety. I mean, you could walk into a crowd of people and somebody could stab you. You just
True.
don't know anymore. There's some crazy stuff going on.
There is.
So I thought we probably ought to end this because it's a little after 10.
Oh, yeah.
I have a couple things I want to bring up before we go.
Okay.
You saw our video about the advertising. If you know anybody or one of those that would like to advertise your product on here, we would love to talk to you about that. So get in touch with either Denise or I. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Clout Hub, and you can message us on Telegram. I believe you're on Telegram too, aren't you, Denise?
Telegram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Clout, the new Clout Hub. New Clout Hub. I'm on MeWe. I'm on X.
Yeah, X.
So, yeah, we're
all over the place.
I'm also on Instagram. I'm on Instagram too. So, I'm pretty much everywhere. I'm in a lot of good platforms. Telegram, and I'm also on. Yeah, that's it. I think that's about it.
And we put those links in the description as well. So be looking for that. One of the things I want to bring up is, we don't want to forget about Tina Peters. Tina Peters is a lady that was in Colorado. She found out there was some problems with voting machines. So she got in there and took a picture of what she saw was voter fraud. And because she did that, which was her job, they went in and raided her and they threw her in jail. She's a Gold Star mom as well. And she's in her 60s and she has no business being in prison. She did not do anything wrong. She's doing her job. She was the Secretary of State, I believe. And that is the job of the Secretary of State, is watching over the elections. She was had discovered fraud. And Colorado has got a lot of voter issues. So this lady needs to get out of jail. We need to be writing our senators, our representatives, and we need to be asking them to quit ignoring this and help this lady get out. She's not in a good place, and there could be a lot of bad things happening to her. She's just a sweet little lady, and there's no reason why she should be there. So we need to reach out and try to help her get out. Save a Patriot from this kind of nonsense and injustice that's happened over all this stuff. The other thing I wanted to show, and I'm going to share the picture so you know what he looks like. So we have a man that's been thrown back in jail on trumped up charges that had to do with January 6th. And, there was pardons given. These people were supposed to be getting out. And apparently they found some kind of a loophole that was not covered when J.D. Vance wrote the pardons. So did J.D. Vance not cover everything in the pardons for a reason? Or did J.D. Vance not cover all the things in the pardon because he didn't know what he was doing? But
He probably didn't know.
regardless,
Yeah.
this man is back in jail. And there are more than him that have been thrown back in jail. And they're just, they're in bad places. They're not being treated fairly. This is a total injustice. So this man's name is Dan Wilson. And he was at January 6th, but he did not do anything wrong. He was just there. So if everybody could write to their senators and representatives and please ask for this man to be out of jail and the pardon that he was given to be upheld. And even General Flynn is on his side. He's got a picture there with him. So that's really all I had to say before we go. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, Denise?
I don't think I do. I think everything that's pretty much said has been said. I want to express too that everybody, if you're using TikTok, get rid of it, please. If you're, just don't use it. You'll be actually helping to influence the minds of America through, Israel is planning on influencing through TikTok. Their investors are Israeli, and they are going to be using TikTok as a platform to influence Americans, and and I don't think that's a good thing. I don't relish the idea of our young people having their brains scrambled any further with more distraction and more lies. So that's something that you definitely want to keep in mind, that CBS has been pretty much bought by Israel, and now TikTok is being owned by Israel. And I want to remind everybody too that to keep their eyes open and watch what's going on with the Israeli Palestine tragedy. I'm calling it a tragedy to at this point, where the UN is concerned, where we have all of these countries that have stepped forward and absolutely said that they recognize Palestine as a state and everything. So having said and done that, they should actually uphold that declaration, and they shouldn't be going forward with this this so-called peace treaty, where there's going to be Tony Blair heading this board of peace and everything, and it's just not going to be a good thing. It's all heading down the wrong way. That should never ever be the way it's going to be. It should be turned back over to the people of Palestine and let them decide who's going to run Palestine, and it shouldn't be Trump or anybody else.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree. I think that each country should run themselves. They have people capable of running it, that live there and know what their culture and everything it is about them. And they're the ones that need to take care of their own governments. I will say, I think Hamas is not the choice that I would hope that they would make that to be the governing body of there.
Right.
But,
Well, I definitely believe that anybody who is part of Hamas, I think that they should step forward. There should be more of a world court and not just the court of Israel. I don't think that they should have to surrender to Israel. I think they should go to a world court. It should be a world court type of thing. But again, UN is not going to do well with that. They've been a failing entity now for the past 50 years or more. They've been a failing entity, so they're not going to do anything about that either. Because I think there is a lot more to be said about Hamas. Remember what we spoke about, that they were first a thorn in the state of Israel. They were fighting against Israel being there to begin with. Okay, and they may have been fighting for all the right reasons, for all we know, because the state of Israel didn't belong there. And they were doing things to the people. They were pushing people out of their homes, taking over land, taking over farms, taking over resources, just literally stripping people away from where they lived and everything so they can move their people in. That's wrong. That is wrong on many levels, very, very wrong. So there has to be an accounting done as to, who did what, when, and why wasn't those things answered to at that very time. And everything, and see where it goes from there, because because later on, 10 years, later, when Bibi Netanyahu had become involved as he became prime minister, all of a sudden, Hamas was being utilized, and they were basically being utilized at least 10 years before, and 10 years thereafter or more. by Bibi Netanyahu. They were using them to continue fighting. They were just literally just using them to create problems for the PLO and for the Palestinian people in general. They decided that, you know, they were a good fit to fight against them and everything. As long as they were useful, they were going to fund them, train them, and help them along until they became a problem for them. Because all of a sudden they turned around and they were facing their forces back at Israel again. So, you know, and I recall, you know, that when I had originally spoken about this some time ago and everything, I had made the mistake of saying that Israel created Hamas, when in fact, maybe they didn't originally create Hamas, but they did support it and mold it and form it into the entity that it is today.
Right.
And everything. And still, there are questions that remain as to where were those gods at that border on October 7th? Where were the guards? This heavily fortified, protected Israel, all the borders all around that country are severely protected. They didn't let anybody in. Why was that spot
and they
open?
knew that was they knew that was a dangerous area, and they allowed them to have that thing there.
This was planned.
Yes, it's looking that way. It absolutely looks that way.
It does. It was planned. We can't say, because there were people that within the Netanyahu government had spoken up, and all of a sudden they're not around anymore to talk about things anymore. The fact that Qatar did not attack itself too, and Iran did not attack itself. Everything that's been instigated and pushed forward has been done by Israel. You know, the thing is, time was a wasting, and they need to get to the Mount of Olives, and they have to go through Gaza to do it.
Yeah. See, that's why I was talking about that earlier, because that's part of it. They have to have that whole area to fulfill what they feel needs to be fulfilled.
That's right.
So a couple points I come up with is, you know, Bibi is bullying people in God's name. That's not good.
Right.
TikTok, Trump wanted our own company in America, but guess who's going to take over it? It's going to be Israel. Yeah. So see, that just kind of shows the hold that Israel has on us, to me.
Yeah.
Because why would Trump want an American TikTok, and then China goes, no, sorry. And then they turn around and they get Israel people to take care of Bibi's people to take care of it.
Because, you know, what better way to use TikTok, you know, because it is an influencing platform as it is and everything. And of course, you know, America doesn't want China to influence Americans. Of course they don't, and everything. And it's not like China really was influencing us anyway. You know, we already know what China's about. We know and everything. But what people don't seem to know is that Israel is influencing us. Right. There are some of us who are awake and know this, and there are a lot of people that just go with the flow. They moo with the cattle, moo, and they're worshiping Israel over America. They're listening to this bull crap. You know, when they start fights with other countries, and then, you know, when the countries turn around and fight back, oh, they're Jew hating, they hate us, help us, they're attacking us, we need to eliminate them, we have to eliminate those Jew haters.
Right.
You know, it's getting sickening. I'm sick and tired of hearing that as an excuse.
I don't think people hate Jews like they want us to think they do.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
No.
I've never hated them. I feel that sometimes I've always seen that they have been a big presence in our government, in our banking industry, and some of our companies. And that always made me wonder, you know, why do they have such a big presence here? And everybody always threw it back to the Bible, the Bible, the Bible, and then I go and find out, well, it's not the Jewish people that are the chosen ones, it's the Israelites. And they're the descendants of Jacob, and there's not that many of them left.
Right.
So sorry. So they're standing on all this and making and holding it over us.
Pretty much.
And it's not the Israeli people, it
No.
is their government.
It
And
is their government. That's right.
our governments are the problem, guys. That's what it is. Our governments are our problem. If we could run ourselves, we always have to have some kind of something to hold us, to the
Right.
good. But if we had better governments, we wouldn't be dealing with this kind of stuff. The governments are corrupt, and they're corrupt in all countries, I think. All countries.
They are.
So it's up to the people to do something about this, to make changes. And I think that's what this is all about, is it's time.
Well, it's
that we
also
do.
time to learn about the truth and learn that
True.
the past holds a lot of truth. And I would like to encourage everybody to. I just posted a link in the live chat. I posted a link in there. It's called "The Shocking Difference Between Jews, Hebrews, and Israelites." And I spent a lot of hours collecting information so I can post that article. And basically, there's a nice video that kind of explains a lot of what's going on with that. And I also have information that you can look up and compare and everything and see for yourself. I also make sure, like I always do, where the terms come from, where the sources come from. You'll see all of that in there. So, and all you have to do is, look up this information. You can Google it. All this information is available right at your fingertips. All you have to do is just type out, you can even take the title that I have right there in the article and put it into a Google search, and they will give you some information. So, there's a difference between the Jews that are running Israel right now, the Zionist, those who are in power. They are Khazarians. They are Khazarian Jews. They are not. They are not the original indigenous Jew. They are not the Jews from the Bible. They're not.
Right.
So these
That's
are
right.
different Jews, and they are. I'm sorry, but they think they're going to do so. But again, I digress, because we don't know if this is part of God's plan too. God uses good and bad people. He uses all the players on the stage and everything to fulfill prophecy and plan. So even though there are bad people doing what they're doing, bringing about the Antichrist, we're still, when this happens, we know that Christ will be our Savior, and Christ will come and save us.
That's right. That's right.
So
I just thought I'd let everyone know that we have a lot of places listening to the show. And this is on Spotify. So if anybody has Spotify, and I'm sorry about my voice, it's going.
Mine is true.
Spotify is also, I have our videos are on there as well. So if anybody has Spotify and you're, doing something, you can just put that on and listen. So I'm going to run through these just so you kind of know that we're a big global thing here. A lot of people are listening here, and I just find it amazing. The latest one that we acquired was United Arab Emirates, Albania, Slovakia, Hungary, Kuwait. Reunion.
Those are people out there, they're listening to us? Are you saying
Yes.
those people are listening to us?
Yes.
Are you serious? They're
I'm
listening to us?
serious.
Oh, wow.
I'm serious.
Wow, I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah.
Wow.
Reunion, the Netherlands, Iceland, Armenia,
Oh my
Hong
God.
Kong, Guam, Italy, Argentina, Israel, Ghana, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Belgium, France, India, Saudi Arabia, Jamaica, Costa Rica, Switzerland, Portugal, Nigeria, Botswana, Spain, Denmark, and the Netherlands is listed twice.
Oh my
Brazil,
God. I feel so
Norway.
worldly.
I know. Brazil, Norway, Ireland, Austria, Lithuania, Colombia, Philippines, South Africa, Egypt, Mexico, Japan, Germany, New Zealand, Sweden, Australia,
Oh my God.
Canada, United Kingdom, and the United States. There's 49
Oh
countries
my God.
listening on Spotify.
I feel so worldly. Oh my God.
I mean, it just amazes me to think that our voice is going out to 49 places across this
Wow.
whole globe.
That's amazing. That's technology, folks. That
Absolutely.
is
It's
amazing.
amazing.
So
Yeah. I
anybody in
just,
Italy, anybody in Africa, anybody anywhere that's listening to us, you can buy ad space from us, and your ad will be permanently part of each show. It'll be there, and it'll be there forever. So
Yes.
anybody that goes back and wants to listen to our shows again and again and again because they're just that great and everything, they'll see your ad. They're going to see your ad too. So you be one of the first if you can, and get in touch with us. We'll leave our information, our email addresses, and everything. So don't be afraid, because people in Italy are going to know who you are if you advertise with us.
That's right.
People in Argentina are going to know about you. So if you're making, matzo balls, or you're making donut holes, or whatever you're making online, and you want to, reach these people in Argentina, or or in Italy, come and advertise with us.
That's right.
Help us out, and we'll help you out.
Absolutely. We're one big planet, everyone, and we're all connected
Yeah.
in one way or another.
Yeah, we're either a
And
ball or we're
technology is
flat.
a big
Either,
help with that.
we're either a globe or we're flat. Either way, we're still going to be there for you.
I'm going to say we're not living in a terrarium, but I haven't really ventured out that far to see. But
I actually think our planet probably looks something like a snow cone, like an ice cream cone. Kind of like that with the dome over, of course, being the ice cream and everything, and the bottom pot kind of like, kind of looking like a cone shape a little bit and everything, and yeah, why not? That's how I envision it. Yeah.
Well, that would be different.
Yeah.
I wonder how that would revolve around the sun.
Well, if you read Enoch, he actually describes it kind of like that, where there are literally 4 pillars that hold up and he was supposedly, on a ship looking at the earth, seeing it at its foundations, and he describes it best and everything. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
I haven't got a chance to read that. I'm still trying to get through the main Bible. But eventually, I'm going to check all of that stuff out because I'm interested in every bit of it. So,
it's a lot of information. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so much your head can spin. I'll tell you. You can go to bed overwhelmed with information.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Well, it's been fun, Denise, and we really appreciate everyone coming along with us and learning information that we all need to know. And we hope that you come back in 2 weeks. We'll be back, and that's 7 p.m. Central Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the meeting of Informed Minds with the original Brutal Truth meets the unknown Patriot Rebel. So join us again. And you can check it out on Rumble if you missed the live show. You can share our show. you want to like and also get notifications so you don't miss any of our episodes, and you want to join, subscribe, or follow, whichever it says on the menu. And also, please help us share, because the more people that get this information and truth out, the more awake our planet's going to be, and the better off we're going to be too.
Sharing is caring. Remember that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, everyone, good night, and we will see you again, and God bless everyone, and thank you all for being here.
Good night, everybody.
Are you offended now in seeing red again? But oh, I can